Oi. Shuba-duba-dai. This blessed country, oh land of beauty, I pray for thee. Some people have that wrong philosophy that politicians can save a country. They never try and do it spiritually. And now this system exploding on we. The country in a recession, a big change from the old time religion. Mankind rewriting history in a modern but a bad version. We living in our final days. Take a look and change your ways. For our beautiful country, going back to slavery days, only a prayer for the land can stop drug violence and crime. A prayer for the land, yes, these are the signs of the end of time. A prayer for the land, the price of living, man, is so high. A prayer for the land, that even the rich like the poor cry. You say you're concerned and care, we country living in fear, but all are we born right here. So let's say a prayer, the Almighty Father will hear. And I see, did a bad one boy. Shuba-duba-dai. Oh God Almighty, show some mercy on this our country. My world standard gone way down the drain. Little children using rum, crack and cocaine. It seems like wicked-itions gone insane, and everyone playing the dirty game. Too much guns and drugs in the country, owned by Tom, Dick and Harry. But if you're wrong, you must pay for it. For the law, no one above it. Put an end to victimization, oppression and segregation. It's not a good thing for this country, so let's try and wipe it out totally with a prayer for the land, of fire and brimstone go burn with it. A prayer for the land, some say they're picking out who should get paid. A prayer for the land, and that's why the prisoners burn down the jail. A prayer for the land, one day it must prevail. Please don't let this country become an next Haiti. No peace, no unity. Bow down humbly, the Almighty will answer it. Oh yeah, Shuba-duba-dai. Oh God Almighty, show some mercy on this our country. They now call we terror Paradise Island. No longer a country where peace abound. Yes, I used to boast about my land of beauty, the freest nation with democracy. But now we are the capital for drug pushers and money launderers. Shame and scandal is on we, sake is tarnished universally. Some blame it on the politicians for the unstabilized conditions. We going from bad to worse, our blessed country now cursed. But a prayer for the land, will help us to live with other people. I pray for the land, for that's why the nation in big trouble. I pray for the land, united we stand, divided we fall. I pray for the land, citizens answer your duty call. Righteousness exalts a nation. The most I hate poor man depression. So I'm calling on everyone to take a stand. Take it, listen to my song. Did a battle boy, shuba duba die. What? This blessed country, oh land of beauty, I pray for thee.
Sound of the mighty Craig, the out of Swisher, the city St. Kitts. As I said, we need a prayer for our federation, a prayer for St. Kitts Nevis. I'm DJ Maurice, and I'm coming to you live and direct from the Gaza here in the Boogie Down Bronx. Yes, DJ Maurice is still here in the Bronx taking care of some business, but my mind is on our beloved federation, the place that I love so much. It's dear to my heart. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Yes, and the outside is kind of chilly, though the temperature is in the 60s. It's very much chilly, more like winter. But I'm trying my best. I'm all cloaked up, kind of under the weather. Love got a hold on me, but guess what? My baby girl, she's here with daddy hanging out, and once baby girl is around, you know, daddy will be okay because she's making sure that her daddy is doing fine. Love for she daddy can't done. Enough love coming from my baby girl there. And at the end of the day, when you have innocent love like that, you can't ask for nothing more because you're sure that's love, right? You're sure that is love, that innocent love. That innocent love is really, really nice. So my good people,
a few days ago, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, she announced
there's a lot to talk about this evening, a great deal to talk about, but it seems as though that my computer wants to walk ahead of me this evening. It looks like someone is trying to take over this program this evening. There are all kind of pop-ups coming here. Let me get rid of these pop-ups before I can go any further with the program, but we're on schedule, you know.
that nationals of CARICOM will.
We are on schedule to do our thing here. No, we're not doing that today. We are not doing that. We are not doing that. No, we are not doing that. We are not doing that today. So, my good people, there's all kind of pop-ups coming here this evening, but we're going to take care of the pop-ups and focus on the program. The program this evening is to continue where we left off last week, having the conversation about the happenings in our beloved federation. The big topic for this week, you know, the CARICOM integration, the free movement in CARICOM. We're going to deal with that this evening. But before we get to that, we want to at least let you folks know where you can get the good stuff on a Wednesday afternoon. So let me drop the DJ Maurice ad and then come right back to you.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Mauricio's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Mauricio, every Wednesday evening, Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Log on.
Yeah, so you know where to find me on YouTube once I finish here this evening. So Let's go back to the top of the hour and bring in my boy, the Mystic Paula, because as he have said in song time and time again, we have to look below the surface for a lot of things. If we don't look below the surface, we go crazy, because everything that can go wrong will go wrong with DJ Marisha. But guess what? DJ Marisha is an overcomer, and his baby girl is here to keep him happy and make him feel loved. I want to say good evening to Sister Gwyneth Marisha. How are you doing? Hope all is well on your end. Sister Beverly Marisha, how are you doing? Cora Bennett, Sister Lynn, hope all is good with you. How about Sister Deetra Farrell? I want to touch my boy, Brother Ben, today in the Virgin Islands, my cousin dear Kent, the man Cabo. Before we get into the hail up and the chit chats, let me drop this one by the man, the Mystic Paula, while I get myself organized here. This one is called Beneath the Surface.
Sometimes I just get angry when I see somebody watch an ex-man achievement and declare that that was easy. They don't see all the struggle and all the failure. They quickly form allegiance to toast the winner. But in this life there's a truth, and every tree you see have a root. And it's from way below the surface you bring up your food. Now Thomas Edison, the light bulb inventor, his 2,000 times he failed before the bulb could light. And when he reached age 67, a fire cost him 2 million. That's when the studio burned to the ground one December night. But he stood strong, faithful to his craft, and 3 weeks later released his first phonograph. You see, he had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. I say he had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. Okay, Shaki. They say that pressure, it does make diamonds out of rock. And it's the same with the human character. When our dreams are downstruck in a jail, 2 men looking out through the same bars. One will fail, cause he see mud while the other sees stars. You see, while pressure humbles the meek, it strengthens who earnestly seek. It's the barometer that measures the strong and the weak. Because Martin Luther and South Africa Nelson Mandela, the darkness in their jail cell couldn't dim their lights. And civil rights advocacies only fuel more energies. For the more injustice rages, the more they fight. And for 27 years, Nelson Mandela suffered, and from jail became president of South Africa. You see, Nelson had the stuff that great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. Potential, I say he had the stuff that great men are made of. the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Share the live, share the live.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Check any success story, take anyone you wish, and you'll see the road is often littered with blocks and rubbish. But as you clear one hurdle, you will meet another. And as you lift one burden, you'll hit an next gutter. You see, while your progress is slow, your determination must grow. Just affirm and confess the success you already know. Don't you know Elvis Presley was fired by Jimmy Denny? After just one show, he was told, go back and drive truck. And the great Beethoven of music, imagine he was deaf at 46, but that's when he produced his greatest musical stunt. And the great Caruso stood firm by his choice, although his teacher told him you can't sing and you have no voice. But he had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. Oh, he had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. Yeah, Shaka. As a nation, we will do well to train our young, not to adopt a luck and chance approach or a gaming disposition. For they will dream of easy money and sweet tomorrow from a get-rich scheme with a 1 in 100,000 ratio. We need to teach foundations of truth, trees that send down good roots, not parasites that sucks at little gut fruits. Don't you know Basdeo Pandey walked so many miles barefoot to school, land in England with $6 to take his luck horse. And after Napoleon Airman Robinson, imagine he was shot and in prison, half blind and dying. He said attack, attack, attack with full force. For such men with belly, leadership was meant. No wonder they're prime minister and president. You see, they had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface. I say they had the stuff great men are made of. It's the stuff you could miss unless you look below the surface.
Yes, sounds of the Mystic Prowler. You have to look below the surface if you want to see the best of the people that you associate yourself with. Don't just look at them, get to know them, get to understand their heart, and you will understand who you're dealing with. Brother Benter, tap your screen, open your mic there. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
Man, I'm here. I'm kind of tired. Had a very busy past 2 weeks. Had a very rough day today. Running late as a result of that. And with my engineer in the background, I have to be operating four pieces of equipment here, two in my hand, two on my desk. My engineer doing his stuff in Brooklyn. So you see me going back and forth trying to get things going because I was running late. And then you're a man, you're a timely fella like me. When you say 6 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. As a matter of fact, while I'm here hustling to get set up, my phone ringing off the hook because apparently some folks back in the Caribbean, St. Kitts Nevis to be exact, don't realize that the time has moved forward. So in the last couple of weeks, I've been coming 5 o'clock St. Kitts time. Sorry, 6 o'clock St. Kitts time, but 5 o'clock New York time. And I've been getting cursed out by some of my New York massive, Sister Hazel Claxton and them, because they said they got to hustle home from work every evening to catch me, and they don't like coming in and have to be doing any what do you call it, replay. They want to see me live. I do not know what is about it, but it's the same thing I say live if you see the replay. But Brother Benta, good to have you back on screen. And we're going to be having a very interesting conversation today. There's a saying out there, everybody have a backside. So you know what could happen. Everybody have a mouth. It's not everybody can talk, because without a tongue, you just cannot make a sound. But there's a lot of conversation out there about the CARICOM situation. I have a few clips that I will play along the way to give the online viewers a listen of the different insight of what everybody's thinking. But you, a prestigious gentleman like you that I get to know, I want to hear something coming from your end before I play these clips. But before we get into the conversation, could you give a little synopsis, give a background, because I know you got a very heavy portfolio.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So could you just let the folks know who I'm speaking to?
Sure. Thank you. My name is Oakland Benta, and I'm a former chief of police in the U.S. Virgin Islands, a former senator in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and a former a vice president of a telecommunication corporation, in which we had companies and all sort of diaspora throughout the United States, throughout Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean. We pretty much handled banks, owned a TV station, internet station, Wi-Fi. We did telephones. And of course, with that ability to serve in that capacity, it enabled me to travel and meet with different duchesses, princes, kings, presidents, just all over the world. But in that, what it brought a foliage of when we talked about the merge of the euro with France, where we had an office in France. They invited me to sit at the table when they were going to merge the francs and all those stuff into euro. And it was interesting for me because what it did, it opened the door for many conversations that we had, and to learn of unison and unity and uniting countries in an attempt to embolden their community's strength and economic growth in a way where they were able to diversify their economy in unison, because they merged their communities, not separating whether they have governors or prime ministers and so forth of the country, but just the merger in itself created an alliance, one that set the tone all throughout the world. And today, the euro is worth more than the US dollar. And with that, and realizing that as we're looking at BRICS, that's pretty much coming into the forefront. Those are some of the things in the move within the Caribbean that I'm looking at. It is one of those things that really need for us to divest into it and discuss it, because I see a great end to this if the merger of opening the borders of each of the country, going back to then Prime Minister Bradshaw and a lot of those guys, going back in 1973, when they created the CARICOM, removing what you call CARIFTA, which they created in 1968, and moved to CARICOM in 1973. It set a tone for where great minds were going, but it fell short because some of the other nations didn't quite understand. But I think they begin to understand the legacy of what the Honorable Bradshaw and some of the others, V.C. Byrd and so forth, they were thinking, and how they were planning to merge the strength of the Caribbean CARICOM nations. So I'll stop there for now, so that I know you want to do something.
Yeah. Basically, the road that you're going down, Dwyer give commentary for today, basically covers some of that history. So let me drop Dwyer commentary, and then
please.
we could get deeper into the conversation, because everybody has a view, like I said, and it all depends on how we look at life.
Yes.
I am a little black boy out of St. Paul, St. Kitts, and hadn't I got the opportunity to leave St. Kitts, go across to Tortola via the Virgin Islands and come to New York and travel the US and get the benefit and the luxury of education, I will not be in a position to do a lot of the things that I'm doing. So I said that to say this. Some might say that they are against whatever is taking place in CARICOM. I think it's a good thing. You just have to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. Understand? So I just want to put that there. You are in the Virgin Islands, and I'm pretty sure you wasn't born in the Virgin Islands. So where were you born?
I was born on the island of Antigua. My great grandmother came from an area in St. Kitts by the name of Monkey Hill.
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's areas, yes. And
that is right back of the airport.
Right behind the airport, correct. And with all of that, what it had, with some of our great minds that existed then, it enabled a lot of people from the OECS, Office of the Eastern State of the Caribbean, where they saw potential in young minds and so forth, to push them out in the community, out in the world, with the intention of them coming back home to their diaspora and pretty much sharing their knowledge and education in building a better Caribbean, a better CARICOM nation.
Yeah. I can recall back in 81, when I was in St. Thomas, just trying to find my footing, didn't have any sense of direction at the time. Started off as a dishwasher, then working at a pizzeria, working at Crazy Cows, flipping burgers, working at Winner's Passage, doing storeroom stuff and food and beverage stuff. Ended up at Tropical Water, driving the water truck. Ended up joining the VI National Guard, and following that invasion in Grenada in 1983, it gave me a sense of direction to get out of the military. That was not for me. I end up in New York in 1984. So I'm saying all of this to try to give people the understanding that these movements, we move for a better life. Other people, you never know. Our local Kittitian division right there might leave, go to Antigua, Jamaica, Barbados, and end up with a better life just the same. Because it's the different trade, what is needed in certain areas. What they might pay me, what they might want to pay me $5 for in St. Kitts, I might get $20 for it in Barbados, or $50 for it in Trinidad. So we have to have an open mind and stop close our mind to the conversation. We cannot be successful if we're going to close our mind to a conversation. You have to have the conversation and think about things, not just closing it off. But again, I welcome everyone's input and I respect everyone's opinion, but the conversation needs to be had. So let's start off with Dwyer and we'll take it from there.
Greetings. 60 plus years ago, the collapse of the West Indies Federation was accompanied by sounds from leaders and others in the larger, so-called more developed territories, to the effect that they did not want people from the smaller islands to come in and crowd up their countries. I was breaking into my teens at the time, and in the ensuing years, as I grew to better understand the situation, I wasn't angry at them for their attitude, those in the bigger islands. In fact, I was in a sense happy that they would tell us exactly how they felt. And I thought that that should motivate us in the smaller islands, not just to survive, but to succeed and to excel. Then, also in the 1960s, the independence wave started to sweep across the shores of these former Caribbean colonies, starting with the larger ones and Barbados, and with the smaller territories following in the 1970s, with St. Kitts and Nevis, of course, taking up the rear in 1983. Well, it did not take long for the incompetence and corruption in those new independent states to appear. And with that incompetence and corruption came economic hardship and, not surprisingly, social difficulties and a lot of crime. Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana are cases on point. So people understandably wanted to get out of that situation and seek better opportunities for a nicer life. On this point of the difficulties in those so-called bigger territories, it must be said that some of the grief and the difficulties was engineered by foreign interest groups which had their own agendas for these countries and shamelessly intervened so that people like Manley would never be comfortable running Jamaica and Jaganism would not be popular in Guyana. And of course, with the oil and bauxite resources in Trinidad and Tobago, there would always be an interest in having your finger on the pulse there. So outside influences pretty much always have a say in the success or failure of smaller countries. And one of the causes of this is that smaller countries don't gang up together, in a good sense, to become a stronger unit. Now, migration is not new to the human story. In those days, the 1960s to the 80s, it was a lot easier to migrate to North America, to England, to the USVI, to the BVI, St. Martin, and so forth. And many did. But as things got worse in the bigger states, as the doors started to close in on mass migration, it became more difficult. But that did not reduce the problems that the people living in Jamaica and those countries were experiencing. They wanted out. So where did they get out? To our islands. Some just wanting to settle here if it is okay for them, or to move on, hopefully, to the United States or Canada or the United Kingdom. So ridiculed, rejected, and scorned by their incompetent leaders and by the corruption in those countries 60 years ago, we now became their main release valve, ease the social and economic pressure, and in fact, to aid the economy of those islands, because you all know what MoneyGram and Western Union do. They send money, and in a weird way, to their credit, the leaders I'm talking about in those countries, they saw the writing on the wall since back then. In my view, they may well have had a contingency plan. They wanted a release valve. And while North America was the release valve in the earlier days, that having closed off, the Caribbean became the other release valve. That's how it turned out. And this sense of the need to ensure that if things were to go bad, as much as altruism and true commitment to regionalism was, in my view, a factor in setting up CARIFTA and later CARICOM as they did, including the free movement of people in the region. Remember, not just altruism and commitment to regionalism, but making sure you have a release valve, more from them to us than in the reverse, because people who have tried it will tell you that trying to settle in Jamaica or Trinidad or one of those places for us from these islands is nowhere near as easy as it is for them to settle here. The altruism and true commitment to regionalism lived more in the hearts of our leaders and ourselves than in their leaders and them. Don't get me wrong, I believe in regionalism. I believe in a regionalism which makes us stronger as individual members as we interact and transact with each other on a daily basis. I believe in a regionalism that transforms us as a region, given our significant potential as a region to be developed into a force to be reckoned with on the international stage, rather than as a bunch of insular, petty, corrupt, and inept weaklings. So I believe in regionalism, a regionalism that is carefully and equitably constructed and managed, and one that ensures that delicate balances are not disturbed and disrupted. And this is why I am to some extent concerned about the aspects of the CARICOM arrangement, the aspects which deal with settlement. For a while now, 6-month settlement, we know that that arrangement has not followed the protocols, and a lot of loopholes have been exploited through bad governance, poor administration, bad management, and corruption. In these arrangements, I don't see sufficient protection for small, vulnerable economies and societies such as ours. Same thing from the World Trade Organization, but that conversation is for another day. Save and except to say that as a stronger and better structured region, we might not have gotten the knockout from the WTO arrangements that we have gotten thus far. That's the kind of regionalism I believe in, building a strong one, block by block, not exposing the more vulnerable to even greater vulnerability and instability. So already the CARICOM arrangements have shown that our small island states are near to being overrun. People are getting in, the protocols are being abused, and corruption is showing its ugly face in the process. And this has been the case over the decades. The sad thing about it is our people are not crazy about going to those larger territories. And as I said, if they tried to, they would realize that this is not an igual situation. The amount of hoops you'd be made to jump through, the difficulty is even making social connections. All of those would be signals to you that you're not welcome. We are quite the opposite. We welcome you with open arms and open everything. We even had one of Jamaica's most wanted criminals hiding out here about 3 to 4 years ago. For a few months, soft borders, soft entry points, official entry points, corruption, opening the door to the multitude. The boats are landing at Keys and elsewhere. Every day you're seeing new faces. The flights are coming in from Santo Domingo full. We have them. We love them too. But this thing has gone too far. And they are still coming in plane loads. No due diligence, no police records. Hardly anything to protect us from danger in all of its forms. They get work illegally, then they and their illegal employees get away with it. Meanwhile, locals are deprived of a job. These people hire their own. They go to get work and charge fees well below what locals charge, just in order to get their feet in the door. A notable exception is house cleaning. When they come to clean a house, they charge plenty more than the locals. I don't understand it. Or somebody might get pregnant and the child used as an anchor to keep the mother or father here. Of course, we know about all of those fake marriages, but nobody has been prosecuted. Then we have the strippers and the prostitutes and the criminality that comes with it, swarming and flooding our shores and our society as if nothing is happening. Don't talk about the millions of dollars a month that hemorrhage out of our economy through money transfer firms. Homes are taken for residents. A lot of them are buying property now. School places are taken. Health services are stretched. Jobs and business opportunities are taken, and in relatively large numbers. And in the process, our own people are being dislocated. They go to the politicians for help and favor. And to keep the vote, the politicians provide comfort. But in that process, the extremely destructive deprivation, dependency, and entitlement syndrome is kept alive. More locals become frustrated, and their productivity levels are lowered. So they become marginalized and angry, and their lives are taking a wrong turn in the process. More social, more economic problems, more fractured families and relationships, more crime, more cost to the government and the country. So this talk about building a sustainable island state will be a very tough, maybe impossible challenge in the context of these CARICOM arrangements, because the people of St. Kitts Nevis cannot fend off these challenges, and they cannot find sustainability for themselves in their own land if things remain the same. So how can we ever become a sustainable island state when the physical and social and economic infrastructure and the cultural infrastructure faces these mountainous challenges like tsunamis coming in? Yes, we love our neighbors, but we have to be able to take care of ourselves and our families first. We are small, and our resources in the school system, the health system, the job market, etc. are limited. It is against this backdrop that a couple of weeks ago, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley stated that CARICOM member states were now moving to open the door to total free movement, lifting the 6-month limit, which has been abused anyway and made a nonsense of. Antigua and Barbuda's government said, no, we're not in that. Hold on a minute. And Antigua and Barbuda has accommodated and facilitated perhaps as many people from those bigger territories as any other. And they are to be credited for that. But there's a limit. Antigua and Barbuda know that this thing has gone too far and needs to be stopped. Think business opportunities. Think jobs. Think physical and social infrastructure, housing, schools, health facilities, food production, etc. Look at what is here already. There are companies from those islands grabbing massive chunks of public and other projects out of the hands of locals, even down to lawn mowing and cutting grass and painting. Companies that came here to work on the Southeast Peninsula are looking for paint work in Frigate Bay and Bird Rock. How could that be allowed? It's not just people from the bigger territories in CARICOM. We will not become a sustainable state if we do not protect our people. I'm not talking about being xenophobic or being hostile. I'm talking about doing the right thing. And I've been talking this talk for decades. And to complete the picture, as I said, it's not just a problem with CARICOM. I told you about companies coming in here to do construction in the Southeast Peninsula, advertising to cut grass and other things and to paint. Look at the face of Commercial Bastia. Look who got the contracts to build homes again on the peninsula. Are you seeing sufficient faces of Kittitians and Divisions owning these businesses? Are you seeing people who have stores still on a Friday putting out goods on the street to sell when locals are being told you're not supposed to go on the street? But why are you renting space and still using the public space? Why are you being allowed to do that? I wrote an article many years ago entitled, "When in Rome, you do as the Romans, but when you're in St. Kitts, you can do as you like." Unfortunately, that is as true today as it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago when I wrote that article. In order for us to become a truly sustainable island state, we have to be able to put our people first. Not just able, but willing. We have to commit to put our people first. Not that others will be second-class citizens, but the opportunities must be given to our people first. And we find fair, equitable, and happy and sustainable balances based on that premise. So let me ask the question again. Are we going to continue opening up ourselves like this, compromising and corrupting ourselves like this, depriving our children and generations to come of an opportunity for full empowerment in the land where their navel strings are buried? Or are we going to allow people to come in here and do as they like? I say no to the lifting of the 6-month thing. In fact, I say tighten it up, place further restrictions. We cannot be a repository for failed leadership in the other countries. We don't have.
Okay, Brother Benta. That was Dwyer's commentary for today, and that is Dwyer's take, Dwyer view. You can tap your screen and open your mic. Now, as I said previously, I am one, don't have an issue with the free movement in the region. What I have an issue with, if you saw, is that there was some announcement that it should be going into effect on the 31st of March. Now, you cannot make such a drastic decision without consulting the general public on this. It's bigger than that. You mentioned that you was with law enforcement in the Virgin Islands. What was your position again?
Chief of police.
You was the chief of police.
Yes.
And my experience in the Virgin Islands between 1981 and 1984, crime was rampant in that area down there, especially St. Thomas. During the day, it's one of the nicest islands you want to see in the world. Once it get dark, you can't walk up Garden Street freely. You can't walk up Savan freely. You can't pass Simmons Alley going down towards the cemetery freely. I mean, it was like, if you plan to die, those are the areas you walk to at night.
Yes.
And believe it or not, I used to walk them because that is just the way that I used to run with my boys. Nobody gonna tell me where to walk or what not to do. And I get some blows in the process, but guess what? I'm still here. So one of the concerns that I have, you being involved in the law enforcement in the Virgin Islands and being chief of police, you had a very serious job on your hand. So crime, in terms of crime, how did you guys able to deal with that? How was your guys able to deal with that?
It's so interesting because I had separated from the police department and went into the private sector. I took leave of absence without pay for some years. But in my absence, being a member who was a training director, who should train the police officers coming in, I brought a training director from St. Kitts to the Virgin Islands. I think the commissioner then was a Walring, and I brought them in. So sent some of our guys down to St. Kitts with a K9, training in the taser and gang control. But one of the things is, when I came back to the police department, there were groups that had established themselves by the name of the commission, and they were actually out there just killing whoever they didn't like, whoever they had contracts on. It was just a free for all in the territory. And And coming back after the governor of the Virgin Islands then called for me to come back and assist, I came with some requirements because, of course, you know, in some entities you go in and they direct you how they want you to move. Then if they're directing you as a police chief, then they don't need you because they have the methodology of how to apply it. So I made sure that I was clear to be able to have a free movement, to be able to engage what we call the National Guard, you would call the Defense Force of St. Kitts, under my direction in time of need, and then did what we call an alliance with the federal government, that's the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, DEA alike, and a unit which was created under me for that in-house cooperation. And then we made these individuals what you call peace officers to enforce the laws of the Virgin Islands and the laws of the United States, was federal. But the thing behind it is that when I came back and I realized that the problem which created the problem was that our social atmosphere, based on our etiquette, based on our history, based on our governance, a lot of people just waved it off and ignored the signs which existed. When it dealt with children who became the menaces later on, at that time we had a lot of children who were offsprings of what you call individuals who use crack. So we had, and it's not a bad terminology, we had what you call crack babies, is a term. But that term meant these are children born into this world by parents who were on crack very heavily. And those children, while going through schools, the signs were not detected. And what was allowed for them to do or ignored and just push them on the side and say, well, you know, they're not going to amount to become anything anyway, so we're not wasting any time. We started to harness the environment for individuals to be easily swept to the street by individuals to direct them how they wanted to operate on their behalf. And of course, without having the faculties in order, they would squeeze a trigger faster than anybody else. And then when I say squeeze a trigger, put a gun in the hand and say, shoot Tom Jones, that's what they're going to shoot. But what we did was, in the program, in the schools, because the street was already in one direction, I had to go to try to cut the bleeding off, tie off the vessel, because if we let it keep going, we'll be dealing with a generation from behind falling into filling in those individuals who may have demise by way of violence or otherwise. We got individuals in the school, we got the human services department, we got the churches, the courts, the judges, we got a whole variety of people involved in the organization, and whereby police officers assigned to what you call a truant officer in school, the people who deal with the attendants and so forth, and counselors, will go to your home and sit with the parents, picking up report cards. But the violence was so outrageous that even when some of those individuals were picked up, some of these guys were 11, 15 years old, and they would say to you, well, I have already lived my life anyway, so it doesn't matter, I'm ready to die. And when you hear a young man, even young ladies, some people think that ladies don't get involved in these things, they become one of the most instrumental authors and coordinators, these females, and planning ambushes and being able to be the attractor of some of those victims by the mere appearance of showing up. And you know, these young guys, they fall in love with a young lady or see a beautiful girl, they can go in a direction and they walk them into the ambush where they stand there and watch 19, 20, 30, 80 rounds being shot into the head of an individual, and it's nothing to them. So in curtailing that, in getting to it, a lot of individuals in the Virgin Islands were out in what you call, they were out and bond. For instance, somebody put up probably about $10,000 and they're out on bail. But these individuals continued their legacy of the crime that they were all a part of by formulating their groups and their gangs and giving instruction and direction, because now the communication line is open. In prison, you're not supposed to, and it was that they didn't supposed to have a cell phone or access to any sort of computer for communication via internet or otherwise. But once you're out on bail, you have access to everything except movement on the streets in particular. But they were directing their gangs and who to go at and what to do. We had to cut that bleeding off. And in cutting that bleeding off, those individuals who actually bailed them, I brought them into the focus of being responsible based on the order of the court. The U.S., the territorial court marshals, they were going to making sure that these individuals were home. We were making sure that if you're coming out of jail, we were meeting you at the gate. We made sure we know where you were bedded at night and where you're supposed to be at night. We became the babysitters after a while, the police department and the team. And with that, we began to see a drop in the crime, the active portion of the crime, And with that, what we realized is, as I confronted the judges, which I did, I said to them, you also live in this community. Yes, the law says that if a person commits an infraction, that yes, they once they can pay it, subject to bail. But we had individuals who were out on bail for 3 and 4 homicides and still got bailed.
What?
Because they're saying they're following the law. I think some stringent action needed to be taken, and which they did eventually. Because eventually they come out of jail, they initiate or coordinate the murder of another individual, got implicated in the crime, but were bailed out. We had one individual by the name of Grove Place who had about 8 people under his belt based on his direction to kill them. And you begin to realize that a fear factor kicked in when it came to some members of the community, because these individuals made sure that these people were visited and said, well, we know who you are, judges, attorneys. And as you can see in Tortola most recently, an attorney was murdered just yesterday, as a matter of fact, based on a case that he handled and what the outcome was, and they didn't like it, so they killed him, went to his house and assassinated him. We developed a stringent direction going forward where those individuals who sit in those responsible positions had the proper security for them to enforce the law like they should. We made sure that individuals who were implicated, just a mere fact of one violation, we were picking them up. So we had a merry-go-round in the prison system. We weren't arresting them because they didn't commit an infraction. We weren't violating their civil rights, but we were making sure that they knew that the eyes were on them, and that way they would think twice, 3 times, 4 times before they move. Their crime go down, it went down significantly. But it became a thing, though, where you have nepotism. You have family members as well who is on the street committing offenses, and have people who are sitting within certain offices in government that have a say to a certain degree, that when they began to see that, where family members are being targeted, because a lot of these guys are bringing more money into the households, taking care of their family. We're talking the hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars as far as what they were making. And when these family members who sat in government saw that they were losing money in their pocket, they began to apply some pressure at the governor to change that and relax the street a little bit, because people felt as if they were in prison, and that was far from the truth. We had the nightlife change, as you were talking about Gardner Street and Savannah. The nightlife changed in the island. Businesses opened within those areas. Places where, for instance, we had a fish market in St. Croix, where these guys would sit there, where they had a launch pad, where the boats coming in from Vieques and Culebra would just shoot right up onto a trailer, and that truck would pull a vessel out of there full of cocaine, full of drugs. Made that a police station, a fish market that turned into a police station. And unheard of in the Virgin Islands. And with that, the nightlife changed, where businesses opened. You couldn't find a parking space in an area where once upon a time you could park anywhere in the street, any given time, without even have to worry. It changed to the population change, business, more growth in the economy, more strength as far as being able to apply to education, to bring people in to understand it's worthy to open a business, it's safe to walk our street, and the patriotism increased based on people coming out of their homes at night. Before, no one was coming out, because you come out and all it took was one look, one glance, and you become a target where individuals decide to take you out. So with that, it became one of those things where the growth, economic growth of the Virgin Islands changed significantly, where the GDP went up from 800 million to over $2 billion in a short order. And that's to show how effective, when you work together in unison, how you could change things. And as I was listening to my good friend Dyer, and he was explaining, I understand his concern too. But I would say this: the CARICOM nation has what you call the group that sits close to getting an alliance a certain way under the OECS, Office of Eastern States of Caribbean, how we did it, maintain what you call the currency exchange in the world as the EC or the XCD, where in comparison to the US dollar, it was 270, I think, or 260 to $1, right? And when I saw that sort of interaction with the Caribbean countries, and as Dwyer said, in the United States, there is a president of the United States, but there are governors of each state. When you traverse to each state laws, as they're applied as indicative of the law, there are many different structures of how it's structured, different tax basin, different rules and regulations in the street, different things that you can and cannot do, and they're enforced. With the Eastern Caribbean, the beauty in this is that we're separated by water. Gives you more of a balance through the airport, through the seaport, of entry into your territory. In some instances, there's some, even though under the OECS, some require to have a visa, some open that you come in for the 6 months. And I see where discouragement can come in, because if you don't plan properly, then you'll have a tier where you look at the shrinkage based on the populace that comes in. And that's why I said there's so many people coming in and doing housekeeping, landscaping, or whatever have you. But the only way they could have gotten those business going is only through the state. They couldn't come in and start a business on their own. So there's a balance that needs to take place where the government itself apply governance, rules and regulation. If you're protecting your own, Tortola has what you call a belonging status, and you go to the Turks and Caicos, you go to Barbuda, there are certain things in place that strengthens the residents or the native of those islands so that they remain in certain control of certain industry as well. We are a nation, if we don't pay close attention, and you mentioned earlier when you spoke about St. Vincent and the Grenadines with invasion, where at that time where Cuba went in and invaded the country, there was some American university there, but to the urgency of, then I think her name was Eugenie Charles out of Dominica. I think that was Eugenie Charles, invoking a meeting with then President Ronald Reagan, as the whisper began to take place of what's ahead and what's going to be taking place, to get the United States of America to engage and going into St. Vincent and the Grenadines and actually protecting protecting that nation from insurgency. And I say that to say, as you mentioned it, which came out very good, if the OECS or CARICOM nations, we know there's some that's under question based on where they stand with some things, but if the OECS or CARICOM in a whole come together, and as I'm seeing the stewardship of many descendants of the Caribbean and the efforts which were applied, but of the strength that we now have and of the entrance embarkation that we have based on sea and air, we have a better control than the United States, because you drive straight across the borderline. All you see is a sign that says, you're entering Georgia, or entering New York, but you don't see any customs, immigration, anybody, any border saying this is what it is. Our strength is that we have the separation by sea. There's so much we can apply on entry. There's so much you can apply on business license. There's so much you can apply when it comes to apply for business in a whole, and making sure that the people within that nation are first considered. The U.S. Virgin Islands right now is working and moving into CARICOM to try to get the workforce developed. In the Virgin Islands, because of our geofencing or geographic fencing that we're in, we are more Caribbean than America. In other words, we have this thing where, yes, we're U.S. territory. We have the BVI that's next door. And so, for people to understand, the richest CARICOM countries in the hemisphere under CARICOM is Bermuda, the Caymans, and the BVI, based on the GDP reports. And when you look at where we're at in engaging with Tortola, the BVI, it becomes one of those things where we still have that embarkation rules when it comes to dealing with U.S. customs and immigration. So here now, the strength of CARICOM of some 19 million plus people coming together in a nation where we have a united Office of Eastern States of the Caribbean, formulating the proper plans to diversify your economy based on the engagement on rules of war. Right now, these CARICOM nations have defense forces. Yes, they work together, like the police department or the police force in the OECS side of it. You work together. But just imagine, like we do with China, the United States of America, like we do with China, we do with South and North Korea, like we do with Ukraine, and even with Russia. And what we apply, or the United States of America apply, the financial strength that it brings, because now your defense force of 19 million people of CARICOM, merging all of the Caribbean countries, if you're able to do that, you're looking at some 30 plus million people, where in convening a military force of about 10 million, the offset of that will now change your nation to have its own armed forces. And I say that to say because, yes, China has done a lot for the Eastern Caribbean islands. They have. There's no question about it. Many will say that the United States of America is sitting there twiddling their thumb and they haven't really contributed any sort of human assistance for the CARICOM nations. But under this umbrella, and based on what's going on in the world today, and becoming so strong, just like the United States has done with North Korea and South Korea, the infusion of funds to augment and strengthen to enable the country to have the ballistic missiles and many other warfare equipment that's necessary, because it's an army, it's an armed forces. It then says we must form an alliance. And what would be the alliance? Who would we align ourselves with? Would it be with Russia? Would it be with China? In times of war now, who would we align ourselves with? It gives you that independence, even though we can, but we have that independence because you have a segue into making a decision in a nation. So I say that the commerce, the economics, if we look at it as far as you said earlier, the workforce, what we don't have, what we can expound on, what we can interact and make it an intricate part of your growth, of your development of your country, education, medicine alike. And realizing that Cuba is one of the strongest in countries within the Caribbean, in a sense, as far as medical, but they're on that embargo. It handicaps that nation so bad that they can't move forward. We're looking at what's going on with Haiti. And of course, Haiti is a part of CARICOM. And what's going on with Haiti, we're now to the United Nations in mobilizing forces in some of the countries that have already signed on to assist, some of the CARICOM as well, to assist by sending manpower. One of the questions would be, in participating in such a endeavor to assist another CARICOM nation, what is the spin-off when it comes to the CARICOM nations after the dust has settled? We're working with the nation, an alliance from Kenya, I think, based on what the president of Haiti did in trying to get help into the country. Now, as you notice, they can't even return to the country because the gangs have taken over the airport. How far are we going to go with the lives and soul of our own men and women? And what is the end product at the end when we really don't have a standing to say that after this is done, where would we be placed based on our effort and loss of lives? Because our CARICOM nation members will lose their lives. I mean, this is something that we just have to be aware of. It's not something you're going to and so everybody's going to come up. We pray for the best. We plan for the worst, but pray for the best in all aspects of it. But this is a time where there's no order in any fabric. But bringing the nations together, where education becomes one of those things that in agreement and treaties, which is under CARICOM right now, are formulated and expanded to others, we're able to market our territory with valuable growth. Yes, Santo Domingo, for instance, they come in and they don't get in on their own. There are people who work out certain things on their behalf to come in. And then there are people within government that allow for them to come in and start a business, or in part of some of these individuals run business on their behalf while they sit in the background as a silent partner and formulate the numbers as far as what they expect to be paid. And those numbers don't come from those companies, they come from others who are sitting there right now. How do we control that? And a lot of us who have left the diaspora of our homes and moved to other countries, myself, it wasn't that I had to say as far as I was going to go. Via Cromwell Bird, who was the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, then when I was a little boy, he actually made it possible for me to leave the Virgin Islands, Antigua, and travel to the Virgin Islands and to be a part of many things by becoming a naturalized citizen, of course, and being able to be a member of so many of the government operations within this territory to get that education and to bring it back home. Same thing with us as we migrate. There's so many of us who have businesses out throughout the United States as well as in the US Virgin Islands and other places, but we're from someplace and doing well. And St. Kitts has a lot of individuals who are out throughout the United States that are doing extremely well. Some are so well to do that they have the mega companies that they're in the millions and billions. So how do we get those billiards back to our countries and our nation and participate and be a part of expanding what they have attained or achieved outside and bringing it back home to impart with our own people? And that's why I look at when the THG news came out and I listened to the report, I look at numbers and I look at growth. I look at economic value. I look at partnership. I look at alliance and allegiances, and I look at the fabric of us creating our own mechanism, which we can. Everything that Dwyer said, he's correct, but there's a way to curtail and control it if we do it right within our state, separated by sea and air, sea and water. We can do what we need to do with just that we are part of an alliance, an agreement. The 6 months is 6 months. Right now, we have people in the territory that's in there anywhere beyond 6 months, right?
All right.
How do we fabric something now that works for us and not just beat up something which our forefathers worked to try to attain? And yes, they were pushed back then, but now we see Guyana, we see Trinidad and Tobago, we see Jamaica, even the Dominican Republic, when Haiti, of course, they're on a different bench, but we see that these areas are trying to now join the small states of the OECS, of CARICOM. And why is that? Because we're doing well. And in that, we have pushed off ability to grow because we become scared of what's going to happen to us. But how good are we doing right now as we are right now without our borders being open a certain way between each other? Waiving some of the visa requirement or visa period under CARICOM so that we can move freely. If that is done, like many of our ministers have a diplomatic passport to travel through the United States, for instance. That gives them a freedom that they can move throughout the states freely for any given amount of time. You don't really get a time factor as a diplomatic passport. You get time if you're coming in on a visa, regular visa, maybe say X amount of weeks or whatever have you. But we have the ability now to bring a nation, a united nation, an alliance which we have right now together under the semblance of uniting it in a way where you're recognized as a force in the world, controlled by you, yes, but with the alliances attributed to being able to do what you need to do to expand your economy. How much money can we get if the United States recognizes the alliance, the allegiance, or the united front of the Eastern Caribbean state? We're looking at in the billions annually, in the billions. We dump money to South Korea in the hundreds of millions of dollars. We have a military base there, the United States that is, and we dump millions of dollars, people would not believe this, into North Korea. People don't believe we do that. We dump over $400+ million a year into North Korea for food and so forth and whatever have you. We dump X amount of billions of dollars into China to cut down on the nuclear development or arsenal and so forth. And even though we've dumped in the money, of course, they're not listening. But the front that we're not looking at, in time of war, or in time of those days that's in front of us, where we have other countries that's moving a nut, a bolt, a plate, a chip throughout the Caribbean, and it's happening, and some of them would not like to hear this, but they're moving these small parts into specific islands or certain islands, and then they send it off to another place for assembling. These things are happening right on our own watch. How much are we seeing? In our military forces, as we are not allowed into the data bank of the Pentagon. We got to go through a general or a segment that gives us information as required. And we are not a part of that intelligence committee of the United States or any of those other countries, because they're not going to let us into those areas. We have a defense force, and that's all we have. How in the sweep of one night, F-16 flies over, say, Antigua, St. Kitts, Grenada, and drops one of those F-16 drops a bomb. How much devastation are we looking at in just a blink of an eye? See, so I'm taking us into a mindset of understanding we're evolving, and many of our own residents, native borns, have joined the United States Armed Forces, and some who are on the other side of the world, but in Europe or Asia, we have people who have also joined the armed forces of those regions as well. And look at how it comes to bear that you will see that we end up, as well as Russia. We have, you have some people from St. Kitts that live in Russia, right?
Yeah.
That's a part of the armed forces too, right?
Some of them might be online right now listening to you speak.
Exactly. Yes. And it's one of those things is where we make our homes. So we have soldiers who are part of the Russian army, and they're fighting, right? But they were born in the Caribbean. We have those that even in China, they're part of the military, but they were from the Caribbean, and on and on and on. And we tend to not focus on what we can develop our nation to become, rather than what we think may be the bad apples only. We can fix those bad apples because we control our borders. We can apply what we need to apply to grow, but be part of the growth and making sure that as a nation, in times when we will need that ability to sustain ourselves, that we are in the game and not on the side street. There's a great World Reset forum that takes place. There's a great World Reset. And that's the term, Great World Reset. It takes place in Switzerland every year. There's meetings going on. I've attended those meetings, and I'll tell you, in those meetings, I haven't seen much representation from the Caribbean. But you see a lot of all of the African nations attending the Great World Reset. You see a lot of the South America attaché attending. And there hasn't been anyone from the US Virgin Islands as well who has attended. And in those meetings, and you said that you listened to the crafting of the plan for tomorrow, you don't have a seat at the table to listen and see what the plans are. You're left out of the economic growth, the diversification of your country, and you're also going to become a subservient to these other nations, which we were once the main source for a lot of them to be a part of. If you notice that individuals from Africa, as they're leaving, all they got to do is hit a shore and they're indoctrinated almost. They try to find a place where they walk into a government office and report that they're there. You have those from Venezuela as well as integrating, and all they're doing is reporting. As soon as they hit the shores of America, they're going straight into a law enforcement entity or straight into U.S. Customs, U.S. Immigration, and reporting themselves immediately. And while we're talking about a geofencing that we're in, based on how we're structured, the embassy, of course, for the Caribbean, I think one is in Barbados and one is in Trinidad. We don't have a U.S. embassy in any of the other islands, but based on our geographic location, we are so important. We are so important to all of these nations, from China to Russia and America. We are so important based on where we are geographically. And we can use that by saying, okay, this is what we're prepared to do. Industries for those countries that have the availability. And while many are looking at what's going on in Grenada and Venezuela, that in itself, if there's no calm, we'll see a storm develop pretty soon. But if we take it to the United Nations as a united nation of the OECS, United Office of Eastern States of the Caribbean States, and we make our presentation based on who we are, then through that, there's so many other offsprings of financing that comes with it to the territories. And in that, what it does, it brings of understanding that we can grow in a way that we are second to no one else in the world. Today, why so many people migrate to the United States or to Canada, with which, of course, Canada has imposed a visa requirement for people from the Eastern Caribbean coming there. Why do our people migrate? Yes, the development and trying to do it on your own is not working. We need to diversify, but we don't have the strength as a unit by ourselves to do that. Yes, Guyana has backside, and they have new oil discovered and so forth. Trinidad, there's no oil refinery in Trinidad anymore, as you notice, right? Sorry. We're now importing fuel. Trinidad now is importing fuel. And in working with nations outside of the CARICOM sector, where Guyana is now in a different direction right now, where they're going. And if we are not part of the discussion and direction, we are just buddies, friends. When you close the door at night, you go home, I go home, it ends there. We have to keep that open door to grow these economies like it should. And some standardization is simple. If your rules and regulation says, Tortola has it, Barbuda has it, that these are the requirements that you must abide by and follow, that's so be it. There's no one going to change that because the prime minister still runs the country, or premier. you're still in charge of your diaspora within the Caribbean. But if you close the door to allow for individuals who are certain technicians to come in, engineers to come in, or inventors to come in, then you don't want to really grow, except you want to probably go back to agriculture and growing products in the ground and not promoting the new era of the world, which is SpaceX today, for our young people coming up to be a part of those sort of growth throughout the world. So I know that, Dwyer, I'm with you. I believe in what you're saying, but I also look at the other side of the world and the picture as some of the concerns you raise are home that you see, and how can you now change that if you can't grow it from within? You have to grow it from outside, right? You have to go outside to bring it in. Once it comes in now, what you're doing in your education field with it, that's the next thing, because we've had so many opportunities, but what are we teaching in our schools to make sure that those businesses that come in, that our own can actually be part of the leadership, management as well, but the education to make sure that it's retained if these people decide to leave? What have we done to retain it? Just like the Virgin Islands in agriculture. The Virgin Islands became what you call in the Caribbean at one point the breadbasket of the Caribbean. And along the way, because people got so comfortable, agriculture became secondary, right? The native people didn't want to do it anymore because the government facilitated living by providing these government assistance programs, whether food stamp, housing, healthcare, all these things where they didn't have to work anywhere, but they obtained it from the federal government. So we lost that niche of bread basket. You can't get a young man to pick up a pickaxe, a hoe, a shovel, really in the Virgin Islands, because that's below him or her, and that's hard work. But our Caribbean brothers and sisters back in the 60s, when UVI, University of Virgin Islands, exists, and 70s, came up and they ate it up and took it back home to our countries, and now you can't even touch any of these guys, all right? The nation, when you look at our tourism product, when you look at your tourism product based on the commerce, as how many ships comes into St. Kitts, for instance, how many aircraft comes in, what is our tourist annual numbers, and what we're receiving on an annual basis from that. And that came from learning of a product somewhere else and expanding on it. St. Kitts have one of the most beautiful ship port in the Caribbean. And it's one of those things that came with a lot of thinking and concentration and planning. But you look at what's going on the outside, bring those individuals have the mindset of how to get it done, did it, who within the Caribbean now can keep it going. You see what I'm saying? So don't close the door on growth, because growth comes in many ways from many different nations. Is what you do when you get it, as far as how you disseminate it within your people so that they are educated in it and they can actually continue it by not having to go outside, but further in our education. So let's not close doors.
Brother Benta, you just made mention there of St. Kitts Port. I always look at places like Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados and these places, bigger than us and more advanced to us. But I have traveled to Trinidad, love the session there. But there was a visitor to St. Kitts a few weeks back that came in a cruise ship. And I want you to hear for yourself from this Trinidadian, because sometimes when I try to speak to people about our beloved Federation and how we expand, they might think I'm talking something that does not exist. So let's hear from the Trini for yourself.
Hey, Trinidad and Tobago, you know I normally don't get too political, right? But you see, while our governments fight between which party thief the most, and they can't come to no agreement to meet on the crime situation, here we're going on in the other islands, man. Look at this. I'm in St. Kitts now, right? I just landed from my ship, right? Look at this. They have like 4 to 5 cruise ships here, right? Look at tourists. Look at how they have this place fixed up. Look at this. Look at this. Over 20,000 passengers just disembarked from these 4 or 5 ships, right? And this is probably a daily occurrence. You know what I mean? Watch at the beauty. Watch at St. Kitts. This is just on the port alone. We have Tobago, right? You know, I know they probably have issues with the deep water harbors or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a geologist or a scientist to know how many ships could come and everything, but they have things that you could do. Tobago is a beautiful place. Trinidad is a beautiful place. We should be getting at least 2 ships in Trinidad a day, 4 to 5 ships in Tobago. Look at this, thousands and thousands of passengers coming off. You know what that could do for our economy, man? Man, our politicians making real joke. Them is jokers. Take it from me, I telling you.
Yeah, just say, Brother Bent, I did not know we are going to talk about St. Kitts tourism, but I could not miss the opportunity to play that clip for you.
I'm happy to hear it. I'm ready to hear it. So we're in the right direction in the discussion. You know, when I think of, even with fishery, because I think St. Kitts has a fishery, right, where some of the islands are allowed to bring their catch to that depot, and then of course, I know that China and some of those long haulers are coming to buy fish in bulk and they go on to the other side.
All right. Yeah, well, back in the days, I remember when they used to have this. I think it's Crabbe was the name of the gentleman. They used to call it the laps.
When I look at the minds of some of our strong nation builders, that is exactly what they have done in moving things that were hard for us to have by finding ways to expand and make it a major product, the lobster farm, like you said, by just being creative and expand it. Now, who's saying that based on where we're at and based on how we have our journeys, our forefathers' journey coming forward, that we're going to find a way to cut off the vein now that we have an opportunity to continue the blood flow and making sure that we do it right by thinking properly. China, for instance, to the Ming or the Ming dynasty, they had a plan of going back centuries and they enforcing their plans, making sure that the people have what's required. Here it is, our forefathers had a plan. And it's for us now to continue their plan, because those minds in those days, because of what they saw, yes, the technology has come into bearing, where there's computers and many of the things that exist, but common sense.
Your internet cutting in and
still must make sense. In other fact, where you have an idea, for instance.
Your internet going in and out there, Brother Benta. Before I lose you, I am aware that in these big countries, the US, Canada, and wherever, the UK, that is helping us in the Caribbean, the smaller islands. There has the extradition warrant, the treaty, that if there's any crime committed in their country and folks run out, they can be extradited back to their country to face the charges and whatever. Do you know if they have this agreement within the CARICOM or the OECS countries?
They do in some, but it requires, of course, the information. That's where you have the Crime Stoppers and so forth. What they do is notify the police department of those CARICOM nations, and then thereby it goes to the court, right? And the court now, through the Prime Minister, or whoever there is, they authorize for some to be extradited or not. So it's one of the things that they exist, but it requires some interaction by the Prime Minister and the courts.
Okay.
In some of the islands.
All right. The next topic that you touch, and I really want to go back to it before I miss the opportunity, is this. Dwyer's commentary, I welcome it. I understand where he's coming from. And right in the US, I experienced it. Right in the Virgin Islands, I experienced it. Because I remember being in St. Thomas. It was a saying about folks who are not born in St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John. They call them Garrett, aliens back in the 80s. We didn't belong. You had immigration up and down looking for people to deport them. In the meantime, these are the same Garretts, aliens, that did the work that the locals didn't want to do to build up that country. It's not different in St. Kitts and Nevis, in a pardon. And I'm going to bring a point to you. In St. Kitts, but I would say more so in Nevis, we got some very special people here. And I use the word special. They sit back and watch everything that is going wrong. They know their rights. Their rights have been abused by whether governments, oppositions, or foreigners coming to the country. But they just sit back and complain, do nothing to make a change. I was looking at a radio program via the YouTube last week. And these individuals continue to point out everything that is wrong in Nevis. But week after week, Thursdays and Saturdays, they come online and they're prosecuting the case well. But that is all they're doing. And I keep saying, until you have some political action going in place, nothing is going to change. Because if you're going to tell me that it's against the law for anyone to fence off the beach and Nevis or St. Kitts or to build on the beach, that citizens cannot come to the beach freely, it is against the law. And you see people fencing off a beach, and all you're going to do is come and talk about it. Nobody demonstrating, nobody going down there to create any havoc, nobody going to the Premier's office, nobody going to the Prime Minister's office. They continue to blame everybody else except themselves. I am of the view, Mr. Benton, I stand to be wrong by myself if I have to be wrong, but I know with God on my side, I am not wrong. If you truly want something in life, if you love something in life or you love someone, you cannot say, this is the way that I'm going to do it. This is the way that I have always lived my life. I'm not changing. I don't care. I'm not doing anything different. You have to make some adjustment in order for something to work. You cannot continue talking and not having any action behind it. You have to show that you care about your country. You got to take some action to show the Prime Minister, Premier, or whoever, Attorney General that listen. We need some changes. Talking is not going to do it. Action.
Action.
You have to have some action.
Yeah. And Jeffrey, and you said something there with the Virgin Islands and calling people of the Eastern Caribbean different names from different areas where they migrate from. One of the things that the Virgin Islands born are realizing today, which many didn't until I sat in an interview, is individuals who naturalized under the United States from the Eastern Caribbean and other places. I'm going to use the Virgin Islands for now. When you're naturalized, become a U.S. citizen, your identity become a U.S. citizen. Those born within the Virgin Islands, which is a U.S. territory, they have a U.S. passport, but it does not identify them as a United States citizen. So that's something that has now risen to a level because it became so of an argument when I presented it. And finally, as I realized, in fact, you're considered to be a part of the Commonwealth of the Virgin Islands in a sense, but you're not recognized as a U.S. citizen. You and I, naturalized citizen of the United States, we can go to any one of the states, for instance, right? I'm not saying those from Virgin Islands can, but they have to establish themselves by reporting and so forth to get some documents. But you and I, based on being a United States citizen, that we're open to many benefits that the people born in the U.S. Virgin Islands are not open to based on filing, right? It may sound crazy, but it's one of those things where, based on our past history, the Virgin Islands, that is, and the way we are, based on a treaty that was signed between the United States and Denmark, there's a treaty clause that exists that have some separation of your citizenship and many other things that's contained in the treaty. It's a treaty of 1817, which was signed by when the United States came in and set up themselves in the Virgin Islands. Denmark, after the United States said, give it up or you had no choice. It was a seizure. And later on, they came up with a treaty. Okay, so you should take this from us. Something had happened, and we have to come to an alliance. So the international treaty was created, as well as a $25 million purchase by using gold. Now, the delegate to Congress of the U.S. Virgin Islands now facing and being confronted with the people of the Virgin Islands. And that's why you heard people when they said that you're alien, but you're more a citizen of the United States than they are, began to realize that they're going back to what you call an Aborigine discussion, right? Of how many families history was on the island before, and trying to get that shaken off of the backs of the babies that was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And it just shows sometimes you're fighting someone against your own away, but not realizing that there are other things that's also applicable to you that says that you're not a United States citizen, which is what many people in the Virgin Islands thought that they were outright, right? So your passport says you're a citizen in a sense, because you're not naturalized if you are. And those in the Virgin Islands said, born of United States Virgin Islands, not a U.S. citizen. Crazy many ways. I think though, Jeffrey, I think with you making these presentations and sitting where, of course, I didn't agree with the time frame they gave to the end of the month. I don't agree with that. I think that they should really have sat down. I'm talking about opening the borders of the OECS or CARICOM. I think they should have allowed for proper dialogue with the residents and citizens, and opinions and ideas can be applied with suggestions and ideas. Open it to the public, because the public has a lot of ideas sometimes that are not listened to, that can make things work better. We understand the concerns. What's your thought, Tom Jones of St. Kitts, Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? What do you think about this? And have town hall meetings with the people, have hearings within your parliament, get the feel for what's coming. But a short delivery within a certain amount of days is really going to confuse the issue and create more speculation of what may come rather than what can be the attributes of the growth.
But Benta, I can tell you this. I understand there's a meeting of the heads of CARICOM on the 15th, which is Friday.
The 15th. Yeah, this Friday coming.
To continue this conversation.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this much, and I can make it public. I think our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Joe, is more sensible than going into that meeting and agree to this kind of situation by the end of March. Because the whole country, if he's listening to the talk on the street, has a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the DJ Maurice should support the move, not so quick. We need to have that conversation.
Yes.
We need to educate the masses and to know where we are going with this matter. So I am not losing any sleep. I have confidence in our Prime Minister to do the right thing. I have confidence in our Attorney General. I have confidence in our Senior Minister, the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas. I don't think either of them going to advise the Prime Minister. And of course, Sister Marsha Henderson, I don't think any of them going to advise the Prime Minister to make such a move, because I would want to believe, unless he's looking for one term, that is a no-no, not the 31st of March. We can have the conversation. Too soon to happen. So yeah. I am not losing any sleep over that particular situation. As a matter of fact, again, while we're having the conversation, there's a partner of mine there in St. Kitts, the Model Cup. He took the time out to go around and speak to residents and his podcast. So let's take a listen of some of the comments that we're hearing coming from the general public, so that you and I and the online viewers could have a feel of how the general public feel. It is not just about what Mr. Bente is saying or what Dwyer is saying, but the general public basically is on the same page in regards to the 31st of March is just not workable. So take a listen.
The free movement, but I'm with it. I'm with it. I mean, we are part of the CARICOM, and I think it should be a little more easier for us to move around freely. You know what I mean? Without any harassment. You can't stop crime. You could cool it down when you can't stop crime. All over the world, saying it's any worse when it comes to crime. People make it seem so, but saying it's any worse. You know what I mean? And I mean, we need more people in St. Kitts. St. Kitts' population is very small. We need more people here. You know what I mean? And if more people come here, more money, more money will be around in the country. You know what I mean? Because you have the jobs here, and St. Kitts people don't want the job there, but when somebody come and get the job, they start to argue. That's my point of view.
Free movement of CARICOM, it has, like everything else, positives and negatives. The positives, the movement of skill sets, certain skill sets that we don't have here that I think that we need, and we are able to access that. But then again, we have the criminal aspect of it. People come in, we don't know the backgrounds. I don't know if due diligence will be done to these people before they are incorporated into society, the work world. So that's my take on it. It has its good and its bad. But it all depends on the government's due diligence if they're going to do that, to really make sure that these people are who they say they are. I think certain decisions that are made should be consulted. Really, they should have. They should have. But I don't know if among themselves they would have taken all of this into consideration, but I think they should have. I agree.
Well, I think it's about time they do that. Because why trap one place? Why stay one place? It can benefit a lot of people if we can move around freely. More opportunities. Well, to those persons, I would say, don't let them. It's you in your position. You got more benefits than them there. It's for you to take up and make it go. I can't believe people thinking like that. The crime rate done high with we self here. I think crime won't be crime no matter how you turn it. We got to put ourselves in that mentality there. To stop it, get with the program. More opportunities there for us. When you think about free movement, you can't just think about people coming here and taking what is ours. What about us who migrating and going there? You think they're thinking the same way too? Start watching that people coming here and make use of what we have here. Ain't about people. Start watch people. I think we're doing that too much.
Well, I think the free movement is not so sweet. Later on, there's going to be a problem with the children here and the foreigners. It's going to be a lot of problem in St. Kitts Nevis. St. Kitts Nevis. I don't so like it because years ago, Mr. Blatcher didn't want all that in his country. But then Douglas who sent the paper for the people to come in and St. Kitts Nevis. But we can't stop it. Yeah, it don't happen already. Yeah, but before it happened, they should have notify the people. So, I'm not against it there, but later on in life, the children don't get hard. That's what I got to say.
CARICOM is not for us, because we don't go to them people place. If American want to come, they could come, because it's here with us now. We don't go Jamaica and Barbados and them kind of thing. Them is Motley, talk different. We don't want nobody else in our country. We are with what we have here. Them free movement thing, only people won't come to we. We ain't going to go by them. We're not going to get a chance to go by them, because we don't go them places there. Anybody go Jamaica, they go on college. Anybody go on Barbados, they go on college. It's America and England we like. Tell them just a little break. Yes, and if we sign on, we don't come like Haiti. But all the people who went out to Haiti and all them other countries down here, they come in. You see all the boat and the plane, them just crank out when they reach cross here? You see the lady boy, but how they got the Bermuda Triangle? That's them down here. We don't want nobody's we land now. We happy with what we got. Let me people them get room to float around. Because we don't go in the country. When we leave here, we go, if America want to come, he could come. Because he's up there with the flag up. And England, they could come and go flag us up. Not Barbados, Jamaica, and them. They forget it, they mash up the Caribbean thing. It's they mash up the Federation. Just because they think that the EC dollar will go in. But it's the strongest dollar in the world. We don't want them, my brother. We don't want nobody in our land. We happy with what we have. St. Kitts and Nevis. We feel proud of our country. We ain't want no vagabonds in here to get us no trouble. You understand?
When it comes to CARICOM, I believe we the people of each individual country supposed to have major say in it. For example, I want to focus on St. Kitts Nevis. Our landmass is not that big. Our house, the housing stock. And then the major thing when it comes to St. Kitts now, would they be able to vote in the federation, in our federation, take part in our elections? Would they be able to buy our sugar lands? These are the most important things we must be looking into, make our sugar land be the people of this country. Like, for example, you and me, our parents were going to vote. The 1st of December 1975, our parents were going to vote. At the me at that point in time was Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw. We end up, Labour won the election. We the people of this country don't pay for we land already. So I don't think, and then again, they don't start to sell we land without our consent. And it could be worse. It could be worse. So then we're supposed to get major say in this thing. How done your house? But only when they come, house are hard to get right now and saying kids. I don't mind the comment and then the import food bill too. Because the more people come, the more food we ain't got to import. The more food then we're not to also produce. If you understand what I'm speaking of, because these are major things that to look into. We just can't just get up and just, Me and I could not be in agreement. Foreigners come here and come vote, come decide my destiny. Tall, and could come there real and tall. We supposed to get a kind of major say. They're supposed to come and live at the same equal like us. Oh, fuck you, done toil, and then they're gonna just come in and reap the benefit. No man. Before we supposed to have that the first and the last set should have been with us. Our leaders should have had town hall meetings, and then they get the directive from the people themselves, not just 6 or 7 men. Just go decide, because the 6 or 7 men, all of them are millionaires. And look at the majority of the St. Kitts people, minimum wage, and it's the minimum wage, the population of the minimum wage who gonna suffer. If you understand what I'm speaking of, because look, just recently I raised a pay. Chamber Commerce got this big say, and then it's like, hey. And them same set of people who coming on here, right, is them who creating the minimum wage too, because they're accepting it. Because the money where they get in, when they go by the US and they send it back to the country, you see, if you understand what I'm speaking of. Because 1 US is what? They said $2.75 for US. I just probably a little less than that though. But then when they go send them the US back to the country, 1 US is like $50, $100. If you understand what I'm speaking of, I cannot tolerate certain things. You just cannot tolerate certain things. Like they're using us like what do you call it? Like floor class. Mop up floor, and then no man, we have to get more said than that. How come an election they come, they're looking to us, come, man, give this kind of money, man, give that kind of money, man, grant you all kind of favors, and just in order to vote for them. And when you don't vote for them, any part now, they become king. You understand? Wait, now we're here.
Personally, my views about the free movement of people and skilled workers at this time is not good for St. Kitts, because we as locals are already having enough difficulties finding jobs in this economy presently. Also, our schools are completely populated, and when you invite people, remember you're inviting a whole family, not just one person. I might be married and I might decide to go. I have to carry my family, my husband, my children. I have to put them in school. We are a small country. We don't have enough space to accommodate free movement. We already have the OECS who are allowed to come and stay, but we cannot accommodate CARICOM, which involves the bigger islands like Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana, and Barbados. I don't think that we will be able to accommodate those people with the OECS already here in our country. One other thing, apart from the jobs, we can't just go to Tortola, who is a part of the CARICOM, Bermuda, or Anguilla. We just can't go there. Why do they want to just come here? It is wrong, and I believe personally that we should have discussed it in town hall meetings and get our views on it. Thank you.
I have no problem in it, because St. Kitts people need to go to school to learn how to talk to people. They have no customer service. That is why the free movement people gonna come here and take over St. Kitts, because St. Kitts people don't have nothing of customer service. Don't talk about the Rams down on the Bay Road. They have no manners, no behavior. I have no problem with people coming here to live. St. Kitts people, them don't want to take your St. Kitts so bad to them. You come take over St. Kitts, because St. Kitts people don't like to work. They like free money. They don't know how to talk to people. And that is it. And they sit there and they watch you how you're walking and back talking you and saying, oh, look how she look. She walking on them. And I tell a story. Whoever comes St. Kitts Gully, I have no problem, because if the foreigners have customer service, they have to work, they're accustomed to work. St. Kitts people like free money, free everything. No. The criminal activity is coming from St. Kitts bad-minded people. It's not foreigners. It's not foreigners. It's Kittitian killing one another because they blood one another. Yes, but when they have the town hall meeting on Nash up, because they have no behavior, they have nothing in behavior. So when they tell them, they talk to them and tell them, don't do this, and they're going to do this. They're gonna mash it up.
Yes, I.
They're gonna mash it up. They don't want no work.
They get some Spanish or some Guyanese to clean up food. We get to it.
That is it. They're not doing the work. That is a cleaner for the
So you are for the free movement as well?
Oh.
And it's a certain part of 5 of them, they say they pay 31 doesn't work.
I have no problem with whoever come here to live.
Understand? But if they put some Spanish or some Guyanese or any one of them there to go work, you're going to hear it all the radio, how they want to give the foreigners them work, and then I give them the work. They don't want it, only want it when the people are with. Saying people only want to work when the people are with.
Hey! Fire for it, man. Thinking people need somebody to give them competition that they couldn't understand how hard it is to work and how hard it is to get money. But they don't want to work, but they don't want to work.
Yeah, when I think about free movement, all the people do what they want. Yeah, my grandmother come from Dominica, she come make and work. So I support anybody who come from foreign and want to work. Check what they say, make trouble with the port of quick and sharp. No time wasted. You get a problem today, tomorrow you put plane going home. Simple so. That's why I think about. Let people come and work, man. Let people do the thing. That's why I see it. Yeah, because I don't go foreign and I want to work, I go foreign too now. That's why I see it. Yeah, easy stuff.
Yeah, Brother Benta. So that's just a few comments from within the St. Kitts community. As you can see, some people are in favor, some are not. But this is why you need to have the conversation to educate the people on what is going on. You know?
And I agree. You know something, Jeffrey? As I go back, right? And when we talk about foreigners and alliances and so forth, you know, at one point or at presently, there's several of our own countries that's a part of what you call ALBA, right? And ALBA is a Bolivian alliance where we had, I think it's Antigua, Bolivia, Cuba, Dominica, St. Lucia, Nicaragua, even St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's a part of this coalition. And when we go back and looking at what that whole thing was created for, was to build a nation as far as our currency. And there was a plan to, under Chavez, when it was there, to try to, with the Bolivian side of it, to move the ALBA, which is a currency, the Sucre actually, we created ALBA, where the Sucre, which is a currency of Venezuela, would have moved from, as an alliance that we pledged as a nation, our nations, to grow their dollar, so that the dollar, just like euro, would have been 25 cents over the US dollar. That's where they were going, you know. And along the way, of course, Chavez took ill and he passed away, and things just came to a halt. Now here comes the BRICS, right? With Brazil, Russia, India, South America, South Africa, India and China. So they're merging now and trying to now move their currency strength and in positioning themselves in the Caribbean, which is smart. And this goes a little in another direction with Mia Mottley and her move to become a republic, to be able to structure things a certain way. We see that the Caribbean is so important because when we look at what's going on with with Africa and how all of a sudden the Caribbean nation has now become one of the biggest interests of theirs because of our strength. I heard some talk about background check for people coming in. I agree with that, and that's something that must be done in all of the nation states. It has to be done, even the United States. And once talked about, he don't want Jamaica and Barbados, those places to come in because he don't go there as well, but he want to go to the United States. But to go to the United States, you need a U.S. visa, right? You got to go through certain requirements to visit the United States when you have the availability to work as a unit and work together. So I'm talking about a lot of children, as far as schools, not enough schools apparently, as far as growth and development. But once growth begins to increase in the economy, it moves you into a different position where certain fabrics, as you uniting where you merge in your taxes to a certain degree that you could work with each other and build your nations. Otherwise than that, based on where it's at right now, you're pretty much working with what you have as a GDP only. Your GDP is your GDP. But if you don't diversify it and utilize other side of your alliances, their GDP growth and product as well, with your direction of how it's supposed to be handled, then you're losing. Trinidad, for instance, right now, a lot of the finances for St. Kitts, for instance, most of it is coming from outside entities, your hotels. I remember in working with there's a guy by the name, I won't call his name because I understand he's not a good name for St. Kitts anymore, but I was like, you know the name I'm referring to.
Yeah,
so I won't mention his name. But in developing of the La Valley product all the way in La Valley with that hotel which was being built, where I think they're still using the power plant and so forth. I don't know if they're still doing that.
The golf course.
The golf course, right?
That never came to fruition.
Well, working with those guys, right? And one of the things that I did was with Unit Trust Bank, which was the bank which was financing the product out of Trinidad. And when myself and Wendell Lawrence and a few other people started, we went to a few things and saw certain things. In visiting Unit Trust Bank in Trinidad and looking at what was required and realizing the person who was on St. Kitts, who was pretty much spearheading the direction of it, yes, I was looking at actually acquiring it myself. But I love what the government of St. Kitts did, though. Denzel Douglas was the prime minister then. He made sure that because of what was going on, that they locked that property down so that the bank in Trinidad wouldn't take that property and do what they wanted to do with it, right? And that gave me a different view and a vision of things to see how many other nations outside. When we went to the peninsula, for instance, and I looked at the pond that was there, with the mangroves, and I started looking at there's an area where people go. There's some pigs that used to swim with the people. Forget the name of that bar on the beach. I know it's not there anymore. But in looking at that pond and so forth, I looked at the potential of significant growth in the hotel industry there as well, right? And there was discussion about protecting the mangrove, but humans and the mangrove can coexist if we do it right. It's infrastructure and using an impact study and making sure that you maintain the nursery of the fishes, which is the mangroves, and still have the availability to use it to do other things. And I think right now they're starting to develop it. I think. I'm not sure, I haven't been in a bit, but I heard there's some significant development taking place down there as well and growing. But it's outside investors. And you know, when you bring in outside investors, the outside investors bring their parties in as well, management. You control the table for what time frame these managers, and you must identify people from within the nation of St. Kitts or whichever of the CARICOM nations you're moving into to become part of management and leadership and educating for a period of time. I would say you bring a manager in, as a group in for a period of time. I know even with the hotel that's there were so many people that they brought in for the Marriott. They brought in so many people from different places to work the hotel and actually house them at the hotel as well. And I could remember the team that came in to build a hotel. This group, they came to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Let's just show you how things are in life. They came to the U.S. Virgin Islands to build a hotel. And in working out the details for the hotel, it was, of course, the name wasn't Marriott at the time, it was just developers. The flag came after. The government of the U.S. Virgin Islands didn't see the vision, right? And they allowed for those investors to leave the Virgin Islands. And I could tell you, sitting with Denzel Douglas and a few of the teams that was a part of it, and getting that to move to the island of St. Kitts. I tell you, even when I got to St. Kitts, the group that got to St. Kitts, and they were touring the island with members of the then Denzel Douglas cabinet. And the selection was made of a site next to Jactar, right? That's the name of the place.
Yeah, well, I
think it was. Yes, and it was decided because I think there was a landfill somewhere down from it a little bit, but that's a site that the group decided they wanted. And I love how the government of St. Kitts administered it by how they worked it out with Jactar facility, because that facility, even though may have been closed, what have you, but there was some serious benefits going to them as well while the other hotel is operating, which was beneficial to the owners. But I say that to say, what they did though is that they made sure they implemented management that kitchens, divisions alike could sit in. Then you have this Four Seasons Hotel on Nevis, right? Again, another major development where it came from outside. So while we were knocking down people coming from outside to develop the Twin Nation states or the CARICOM nation, look at who are really the owners of a lot of the major industries, grocery stores, maybe gas stations, and who are actually the owners of these major developments. I remember with TDC, when I was there, the hotel close to where they used to house or hold the music fest. Is it TDC? Right, and the hotel was right next to it.
OTI.
OTI, and in looking at that OTI development before the Marriott was built, and saw the potential to grow that, including what they had down on the bayside by the beach. And then when the Music Fest program came in, it was an Easter venture for a group of us, just in case, an Easter venture for a cricket game that was being held on St. Vince, on Nevis, close to the Four Seasons Hotel. And going to the cricket games, and many were talking about, it was so short because we came for the cricket game and the Easter side of it. And if it was something else that would come up, right after that, here comes the Music Fest for the first time in St. Kitts. And that's an outside venture again. By looking at what's taking place in other places, you brought it to St. Kitts. And who followed St. Kitts? Wasn't it St. Lucia that followed that as well? St. Kitts is in June, and then St. Lucia picks up. But look at the migration of people in, and what you could do in formulating the diversification of the economy. It's seeing what works, what brings a great number to your GDP, and expanding on it rather than closing the door on it. And that's as simple as that as a music fest. The St. Kitts Music Fest has now become the #1, right? When it comes to that thing throughout the diaspora of the Caribbean. So we got to not work with the blinders on our eyes as if we're horses running on a track in a race, but have your peripheral open to everything else that can come into contact with the development, the expansion, and the unisys of the nations coming together and working together. Yes, background checks should be done, period. And everybody, just like it's done on you when you apply for a US visa, and just like it's done when you apply for a visa to Canada. All of the securities are put in place and measures to make sure that it's you. I think one of the things that created some of the concerns with Canada, what many would know, is that when we did the CIP program, Citizen by Investment program, and of course you had some individuals who masked themselves as somebody else just to escape certain things. I think we've pretty much closed the gap on that, but it created some issue with background checks, Interpol and so forth, individuals going into Canada. So yes, I understand the concern of the person who mentioned that, and I agree with them. And I think that would be one of those products that they will work on. With Barbados and Mia Mottley and transferring to now becoming a republic, one of the things that I look at as well, that I pray that the ministers just stay together, ask for more time or suggest more time, and it's voted upon unanimously by others, or if it's not agreed upon, and then I'll take a stand that we don't go into it until we're sure, is as we talk about uniting the Eastern Caribbean, and some of us are in some beds, some are in the US bed, some are in the Russia bed, some in China bed, we got to make sure that what we're doing when we do that, that as we unite, are we going to then start talking about united in a way where we'll have one governor general and prime ministers for all of the OECS states and premiers, or are we going to work it out in a way where everyone, based on how we are, remain independent, but opening our borders? Because I know that discussion is going to come as far as not only united in opening our borders, but united as a nation, where there is one leadership and governors, that would be prime ministers and premier. So we got to see where that goes and what the intended thought is more in depth. Because for this sudden plan for it to be executed within a certain amount of days, within the same month, actually, because this meeting was just had in Guyana just the other day. I think it was the 5th or so of the month. And now for the for them to meet. It's Friday, I think, the meeting, right? Supposed to be Friday?
Friday is the 15th, yeah. That's the follow-up
Yeah,
meeting,
Friday?
but
Right.
yeah, but whatever the talk is about the 31st finalization, that can't happen. We all know
No,
that.
that can't happen. That can't happen.
But I bet there's someone in Georgia at the moment,
Mhm.
a former police officer out of St. Kitts, Brother Ivor Henry, and where he's at, he's grinning because looking at the clock, I'm trying to monitor my time. My program is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we are right on the nose of 8 p.m. right now. He loves when I go overtime, and I hate.
Oh, he does that?
I hate going overtime, so I know where he's at. He's just grinning because he knows that I cannot play my closing song within the time for you to finish at 8. But what I want us to do, Brother Benta, is I just want to speak on a couple of things, and then I'll give you a chance to do your closing, and you're gonna have to come back because it's impossible for us. It's impossible for us to have this discussion in one go.
Exactly, just like the agreement. Yes.
So they're gonna have their meeting on the 15th. Based on the information come out of that, maybe you can come back next week and we could continue our conversation if you have the time. But
definitely,
what I would like to say, Brother Benta, for the benefit of everyone, I was taught by my grandparents, what you put into life is what you get out of life. As I became an adult, I know what you put into a computer is what's going to come out. Computers don't make mistakes. Whatever you put, there's what's coming out. And we have an issue in our Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. People will say it's not just St. Kitts Nevis, but St. Kitts and Nevis is where I am focusing. I am dealing with the rest of the world at the moment. I have traveled the globe. I have gotten the experience that I know most people in our beloved Federation who have not had the luxury of traveling to get those experiences. And CARICOM is one conversation, but in general, I want to say to our people to be mindful that you cannot be selfish and be successful. You cannot be lazy and be successful. You cannot sit back and point out everything that everybody else is doing wrong, and you cannot see what you are not contributing. Because either one or two things in a partner. Is either you're going to be part of the progress and the success, or you're going to be a part of the failure. Because sitting back and say, oh, I'm not voting, I stayed home. I'm not getting involved in this, I'm staying home. I'm not that. I have an issue with our people. And I said that to say this. Since the new Labour administration has been elected and put in place, week after week, we have several guests come here and give updates about what is taking place on St. Kitts. And I could hear the divisions. What happened to Nevis? All we hear is about saying what happened to Nevis. Now, these same people, giving them the opportunity to show up to a meeting or to make a contribution, those are the same people staying home, say they don't want to hear it, you know. And I said that to say this. A couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 Wednesdays ago, I had the Attorney General here giving some updates, the Honorable Garth Wilkin. And I asked him to check the thread, pay attention to the comments, and do what he can do to try and educate the general public on what is going on. Because people claim to be lost with their rights and what the government is doing. So what A.G. Wilkin did, he sent me a flyer yesterday. And what the flyer reads, he said monthly ministers meeting, March 2024. The Attorney General have scheduled 2 meetings. One is going to be on Nevis, our sister island. And that is scheduled for next Wednesday, March 20, from 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Land Registry at R.G. Solomon Arcade, Main Street, Charleston. That's next week, Wednesday, the 20th. That meeting will be in Nevis. On Thursday, the 21st, Same meeting, but this one will be at government headquarters and Church Street from 4 to 6 p.m. Matters to be discussed. Matters related to the electoral office, the High Court Registry, Magistrate Court Registry, Land Registry, Intellectual Property Office, access to the Justice Authority, Law Commission. These are things to be discussed, very important matters. I am waiting to see how many of our divisions and petitions are going to take this opportunity to go to these meetings or these sessions and get this information. Are they going to continue to walk the streets of St. Kitts and Nevis and cuss the government and cuss the Attorney General? You make the complaint, you make the appeal, the Attorney General responded. These are 2 meetings. I am calling on you, people in our beloved Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, go to these meetings. In Nevis, next Wednesday, 20th of March, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Land Registry R.J. Solomon Arcade in Main Street, Charlestown, Nevis. I am appealing to you, individual, especially folks in the opposition, especially our local radio personnel, our news media personnel that out there calling for information. This is your opportunity to go and speak to the Attorney General and bring the information back to the masses. Next Thursday, March 21st, 4 to 6 p.m., Government Headquarters, Church Street, Bastille. And there's some contact information. There is an email. If you want to register or make an appointment, your contact is a shamara.richards@gov.kn. And Shamara is spelled SHAMARA.Richards@gov.kn. There's also a local landline, area code 869-467-1013. That's area code 869-467-1013. Schedule your appointment if you want to go and speak with the Attorney General. But please, do not just make complaints, and when the opportunity comes for you to go and meet the powers that be, you do not show up and continue to complain. I am saying to you, individuals in Nevis, I listen to the chatter on social media. I listen to the chatter when I get my phone calls. Last week, I received many phone calls following my broadcast, and I expect to get some cuss from your divisions, but what I got was love. Some of the comments I got is, Mr. Marisha, thank you for speaking out. What you're saying publicly is what some of us saying privately. I'm happy that you're saying it privately, but reach out to your party, reach out to your representatives, and let them know. The talking and cut it. You need to have some political action to change the direction. Tell Carlisle Powell, Kelvin Daly, Tulu, the Honorable Hensley Daniel, that DJ Marisha said, the Prime Minister don't need to come to Nevis to stop someone from fencing off the beach in Nevis. There is a local NIA. Hear me again. There's a local Nevis Island administration responsible to run the day-to-day operations of Nevis. That's the Constitution of 1983 when we got independence. That Constitution was negotiated with the People's Action Movement, PAM, with the Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons as Prime Minister. And the Premier of Nevis was Sir Simeon Daniels. They negotiated a contract. That is what the Constitution is. A contract for Nevis to run their own affairs. So my buddy Tulu, I heard you making comments that the Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Ju, need to come to Nevis and stop them from fencing off the beach. That's not going to happen. That is not Prime Minister's responsibility. That responsibility lays squarely at the feet of Premier Mark Brantley, his CCM government, and whoever in opposition on Nevis, and the people of Nevis. And I'm challenging you, the citizens of Nevis. If your premier and the CCM does not get involved and make sure that you all are properly represented, that is the responsibility of your opposition leaders, our opposition team, whoever wants to be in government, to mobilize you, the people, on Nevis, whether home or abroad, to put things right on Nevis. It's time to stop the complaint. If you want to be successful in anything, be a part of the success. It cannot be my way and I don't care and I don't want to hear. I'm not doing this, I'm staying home. To hell with you, whatever. If you want something to work, you have to put in the time. And I guess Brother Benter, phone battery ran out on him. I see he dropped offline. So in the meantime, since Brother Benter already took me into overtime and then my boy Iva someplace grinning his mouth off, let me drop this track here by the big Stalin and come back and hail up a few of you folks.
You try with a federation, the whole thing end in confusion. CARICOM and then CARIFTA, but somehow a spelling disaster. Mr. West Indian politician, I mean you went to a big institution, and how come you can't unite 7 million? When a West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you only rap to your people and tell them like me, them is one race, the Caribbean man, from the same place, the Caribbean man, that make the same trip, the Caribbean man, on the same ship, the Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. You say that the Federation was imported quite from England, and you're going on for a CARIFTA with a true West Indian flavor. But since CARIFTA started running, morning, noon and night all I hearing is just money speech them Prime Minister giving. But I say no set of money, good for my unity. First of all your people need their identity like one race, from the same place, that make the same trip, on the same ship. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
The late great Black Stalin, one Caribbean.
CARICOM is wasting time, the whole Caribbean gone blind. If we don't know from where we come in, then we can't plan where we go in. That's why some want to be communists, rather some want to be socialists, and one set a religion to add to the foolishness. Look, a man who don't know his history can't form no unity. How could a man who don't know his roots form his own ideology like one race, from the same place, that make the same trip, on the same ship? So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. Federation done dead, and Carifta going to bed. But the cult of the Rastafarian spreading through the Caribbean. It have Rastas now in Grenada, it have Rastas now in St. Lucia. But to run Carifta, yes, you getting pressure. If the Rastafari movement spreading and Carifta dying slow, then it's something them Rastas on that them politicians don't know, that there's one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So they pushing one common intention, it's for a better life in the region for the woman and their children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
Yes, Brother Benta, tap your screen there, open your mic. That one is the Caribbean Man by the late great, the man, the Black Stallion, telling us about what CARICOM need to do to bring our folks together, unite the people and bring the people together. There's another big tune there that was sung by my partner there. This one, I just love this one as well. King Austin singing about some progress. So let me drop this one by the King Austin while I wait for Brother Benta to come back online.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through times. I see fruits of our ambitions, figments of our imaginations, and I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in his quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why.
Oh yeah.
I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men file everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink, species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high.
Oh yeah!
Real high.
The King Austin.
I see consciousness as greater as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed and class. And some of the things the scripture predict truthfully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Yeah, Brother Benta, tap your screen, open your mic there. I see you drop off not too long ago. I guess you're having internet issues on your end there in the VI. If you can hear me, just tap your screen, open your mic so that we can give you a chance to do your wrap up. In the meantime, let me just say a quick good evening to some folks here. You there, Brother Benta? Your mic is still closed. Sister Hazel Claxton, good evening. How are you doing? My brother there, Jeff Pemberton, how are you doing? Ruby Walters, good evening. Deacon Orwell Jeffers, good evening, sir. How are you doing? Annette Morton, good evening. And Evelyn, good evening. How are you doing? Sister Deidre Smith, how are you doing? Hope all is well with you guys. Imelda, how are you doing? Hope all is well with you. Sister Gwell, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a bit. I hope all is well with you. Janet, Clayton Davis, how are you doing? Good evening. Hope all is well. Larrett Wharton, good evening. Brother Sadler, how are you doing? Hope all is well with you. Ivor Henry, right up here, Ali partner. Overtime, but Ivor, hope all is good with you. Gemini Nisbet, good evening. Steve Mills, Angela Weeks, how are you doing? Good evening. Dorothy Allen, how are you doing? My mascot, I haven't hailed you up in a bit. Sister Beverly Marisha, Gwyneth Marisha, my baby girl there. Jocelyn Tracy, Batcha, how are you doing? Mr. Twit, all is well. Livingston Brown, how are you doing? Hope all is well with your brother. How about Sister Naomi Ward? Hope all is well with you. Sister Tara, how are you doing? Hope all is good with you. Chester Watson, how are you doing, my brother? I haven't spoken to you in a bit, give you a shout, but I have not been able to reach you. Sweet Island Man, how are you doing? Sister Ivy Carty, hope all is well. Patricia Hazel, Sandra Merritt, good evening, how are you doing? Are you on the door? The man, Cabo, how are you doing? How is things over there in the Fountain area? Big up to the man, JB, Brother Glendale Hubbard. Loretta Tyson, how about Joseph Brooks? Hope all is well with you. Sister Loretta there over there at the mango, over there at the Culture Bar under the mango tree. Hope all is well. Brother Elvanelli, how are you doing? Hope all is well with you. Luther Kelly, welcome to the ride. How is things? How did the funeral go? Speaking of funeral, you know, I had an experience last Friday. Like I always say, anything that can go wrong will go wrong with the DJ, you know. I attended Sister Annie funeral day on Friday, knowing that my cousin Jed, his father is my cousin. So Jed, I sure was my cousin. I went to the funeral to show support to him. But as I look at the leaflet with the obituary for Sister Annie, I realized that her dad was from Sandy Point, also a Maorisha. So all of these 80 plus years Annie is alive, my 50 plus years that we've been communicating and loving off each other, not realizing, at least I did not know, that Annie was my cousin as well, not just her son, but her son is my cousin on one side and she was my cousin on the other side. So I found out that at the funeral. So that was a sad evening for me, really put me in a slum because I was not able to chit chat with my cousin before her passing. And believe me, we chat regular since she moved back here from Bermuda. But that's life, you know. They say we win some and we lose some. Well, I don't plan to lose any more time in my life. You know, I'm going to spend whatever little time I have making sure that I give back the love that is shown to me, especially the love that my baby girl showed to me last night. Pick up baby girl from school yesterday, took her out for a little dinner. She decided she wanted to go to daddy's house, but I told her it was too late. She have to go home. She didn't take that too well, and she made it clear to her mother that she was not satisfied. She needed to spend more time with her daddy. So she decided that she wanted to hang with her daddy today. And of course, mommy trying to make sure she don't cause any issue. So baby girl got her wish. Pick her up earlier today. Ask her what she want to eat. She made it clear. Daddy, I want McDonald's, and then I want to go to your house. So that is what I did. Give my baby girl the love that these young kids need to get. I think if we as parents, we as community leaders show a little more attention to the kids and try to bring them on the right track, we'll have a better society. So I hope that you folks out there in our communities, St. Kitts Nevis, is paying attention to the young and the needy and try and give them that support that they need. Brother Bento, you find your mic as yet? You could tap your mic and open your mic. You can tap.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I've been waiting on you because I see you going back and forth. I guess you have internet issue. I was waiting to give you an opportunity to do your closing before I sign off.
Sure. And I still want to thank everyone for listening. And next week, for sure, we'll wait to see what happens on the 15th at that big meeting with all the ministers, a representative of each OECS states at the CARICOM Nation, and see what decision is made. But I want to believe there's going to be one of those that says that they're going to wait and make sure that they're vetted properly. And definitely I'll be joining you next week after they have their meetings, and we'll be able to converse a lot more and in depth as far as where they decide to take it.
Yeah, appreciate that, and give my regards to the folks in the Virgin Island, my cousin Ken, sister Pamela. Hope all is well with you guys on that end. So there was a song that was requested last week when I was speaking about CARICOM, and I decided I was not going to go over time, but I love to please my listening audience. This one is by the mighty King Charles, Three Blind Mice. Remember the song?
Three Blind Mice.
Okay, you don't remember the song. You was too busy taking care of law enforcement business. So
Yeah.
drop this one for you.
Jumba. If I lie, ask Kamal about the bacchanal down at the convention when Ivan asked Williams, Doc, why Venezuela don't want we to smelter? Doctor, can you tell me why Jamaica vex with we? Eric say, tell Manley and Burnham I've got oil. Let Barrow kiss me tail, oil don't spoil. Three of them come like three blind mice. Don't you know, Manley, Burnham, Barrow? They're running bout only setting strife, cutting their tails with Venezuela's knife. Did you ever see such jackasses in your life as them three blind mice?
Oh yeah. You can talk it.
even said, look doctor, didn't you ask Venezuela for warships to help we in the 70 mutiny? From Barrow we get rum, from Manly aluminum, Burnham feeding we with rice, yet you calling him a blind mice. Eric said, let Burnham keep he rice. I've got oil, they will have to pay my price. Oil don't spoil, 3 of them come like 3 blind mice. Don't you know? I treat them like if they were my wife. I give them money like peas by Christ. But it's my own throat they're trying to slice. Them 3 blind mice. So true.
This is Caribbean.
Them 3 mice do not know is I have them on the toe. Food for them to be fed. Without me all of them dead. Is my people have to toil to give them pitch and oil. Yet they back in Venezuela and don't want my land to smelter. Eric say they value my money as dirt, but I've got oil. 80 cents this it is worth, but oil don't spoil. They remind me of them 3 blind mice. Don't you know, Manly, Burnham, Barrow? They go beg me again for what I have. But this time I'm going to make them starve. To get my dollars, they best think twice. Them 3 blind mice. If I lie, ask Smiley. Both of us met Manly, traveling from St. Lucia. We met him in Grenada. I told him what the doc say. Manly blurt out right away. Tell Eric he has not died, for he has blind men at his side. Manly say, them 3 deputies that he have is the oil. 3 spineless men of straw have been spoiled. 3 of them come like 3 blind. Manly call Kamal Chambers error. Anything the doc say is right for them. The 3 of them are really yes men. Did you ever see such rats tail men in your life as them 3 blind mice?
Yeah, Brother Benta, have you heard that song before? You can tap your screen and open your mic. Look like Brother Benta is still having internet issues there. While Brother Benta trying to find his mic, let me drop this ad here for my boy Cargo over there in Fountain. Don't forget your goat water and your fish and fungi every Saturday. Good evening, Brother Thaddeus Depot. So how are you doing, my brother? I thought you were sleeping. You're wide awake.
Cabos, located at Fountain Village in Nevis, is the go-to spot for your Saturday treats. Tantalize your taste buds with his delectable Cabos Delicacy Goat Water. Or, if you prefer some soul food, then Cabos Fungi and Fish is definitely the way to go. Call ahead and reserve at 869-663-9483 9694. Then make your way over to Cabos and enjoy the vibrant atmosphere while you savor your delicacy. Cabos, we are not changing, we are only improving.
Food all over. Food all over. You got the food all over.
Yeah, man, Carbo got food all over. He's preparing for a repast tomorrow. So I guess there'll be a lot of food. Carbo's goat water will be there. Brother Carbo, I hope you put my date on your calendar. You know, my baby girl is coming down to St. Kitts in October to celebrate her birthday. She expects you to provide a pot of goat water. So all your donations them you get it, make sure they put it aside that you can take care of my baby girl, okay? Food all over for baby girls. Bash. Let's big up my girl there, Sister Carmen, as well.
Girl Sandra, you know where you can find nice fresh local food 7 days a week, one provision and all kind of thing. Girl, where? Right down there by Shellings, by Carmen Catering Services. Girl, she opposite the bus stop. Girl, and she also cater for weddings, parties, anything you want to cater for, funeral and all. Girl, and trust me, you're gonna enjoy the food. And she also selling bites and sundaes. Opposite the car shop, right down the main road. Girl, you could call 665-1494 or 663-6005 to order your food or go and pick up your food. Girl, the food will be finger licking and you get your money worth. You ain't want nothing better than that.
Yes, man, that's my girl Carmen there. Check her out on Shirley in there, right across from the entrance to the West Side Bus Terminal there in downtown Bastille, Monday to Saturday for your lunches. Lovely cook, very tasty food. And on a Sunday, you get your lunches right there in the Boys Village, right at the bus stop there across from the Ogaro shop. Though I'm not in the Federation at the moment, I still have to big up my boy there, Brother Powell, the man Scatter there, and the crew at Island Purified Water. They keep DJ Marisha hydrated whenever he's in the Federation. So I want to continue, ask you to continue to support businesses that support you. Support my partner there, the man Powell, aka Scatter. Also, don't forget to support the man Mike over there at the Jam Rock Restaurant in Frigate Bay. He's also open from Tuesday to Sunday. Check him out, that in the DJ Marisha send you. Lovely food, nice atmosphere. And up the hill, we check my boy Marshall's. Your home away from home, one of the best restaurants you can find in the Federation. Top-notch chef. Check my boy Marshall, tell him DJ Marisha sent you. And if you're looking someplace to just hang out, spend a night, or you're looking for a party spot, whatever, check my uncle there, Uncle Joseph down there at Garvey's Guest House, the Millhouse Guest House there in the Trinity area, Boys Village, down there. And St. Kitts, just let Uncle and DJ Marisha send you. You're looking for a pharmacy, don't forget to check out my boy there, the man. Paris Pharmacy there, Westbourne Gut and Central Street. Let him know DJ Marisha sent you. You're looking for a tire shop, batteries, whatever, any material you need for your vehicle, check out my boy Tango down there as well, Fort Thomas Road. And let him know. Check out Mike, tell him DJ Marisha sent you. You're looking for clothing. My cousin there, Gloria Hutchinson there, Smart Fit. She's located in the old Simaco building, right there on Central Street next to Skulek. She has some new stuff in, school clothes, adults, school kids, check her out. Let her know DJ Marisha sent you. There's also a store right there on Keon Street, right off 4th Street, below the gas station. Check out Sister Gloria. And if you go down in the Tennessee Mall, you'll see my girl, Laura Williams there. The other side of the dancing commissioner, Austin Williams, he also hangs out there from time to time. Let her know DJ Marisha sent you and take it. Also, don't forget my boy Giza down there at the ferry terminal, right next to the entrance. And right next to him, you see the Rasta man, the best Ital man. Just check him out there. Still working on my bash because I want to go there and get some of that lovely ital, but I have to get it in a bash. I don't want it in a styrofoam cups. So I look forward to getting my bash that I organize, and I'm going to go there and enjoy my ital. And on a Saturday afternoon, anytime from 3, you can take out the man Body there at the Body Slam in Newton Ground. Right off the main road there next to the Felix. Body Slam, so some lovely sauce, pigfoot, bullfoot. You got your fried chicken and the cook up. You also can shoot a game of pool or just have a drink, get some dominoes at the Body Slam there in Newton Ground on a Saturday afternoon. That's where you can find DJ Maui Show. And on a Friday morning or a Saturday, you can check my boy Ras there at Ras Backway Body in the Parsons area. Cook up, bullfoot, fried fish, name it. The Ras man take care of you on the weekend. From Friday morning, check out the Ras, lovely goat water and things. So check the folks out. Big up my girl, your sister, Miss Uriel. How are you doing? How is my boy Jason? Hope all is well. My cousin there, brother Beverly Hutchinson Ingla. How are you doing? Hope all is well. The man Ivan Mulwayne, the big Brown. How are you doing? Mechanic Brown. My brother there, Gene Paris. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Shabby Paris, how are you doing? How is your brother? Hope you guys are doing well. My sister Esther there in the Tartola area. And her husband there, brother Makish, and the kids. Hope you guys are doing well. My son there, Jeff Roy Jr. in the LA area. How you doing? How is Sister Jazz? My folks there in the Tobago area. My girl there, Gloria Beard. How is Victor Beard and crew? Sister Miss Melissa, how you doing? Hope all is well with you and the son. And the missionary there, Sister Deborah Wallace. How you doing? Roger Wallace. Hope all is well with you guys. Brother Donnell and Chanel there in the Trinidad area. Hope all is well with you guys. My uncle there in St. Croix, the man Eustace. Hope all is well with you. How about my cousin there, the man George Dennis Morris? Hope all is well. George Morris there in the Florida area. I want to big up my brother there, the man called Morris on St. Thomas. How about Sister Valencia Morris? Everything is good with you? Brother Avon Brown, aka the man Sour. How is Patsy Brown and crew? Maralf and the rest. Sister Eplin Blyden. Hope all is good with you. Going across to the UK. Bigging up Sister Sandra, Millie, Yvonne and crew over there. Hope all is well. The man Jerry, Jennifer, Jermaine, and Sylvia. Hope all is well with you down there in the London area. Gotta big up my boy Ruben. Brother Ruben Martin, cousin there Clive, Janet. Hope all is well. And we go across to Scotland. Big up Sister Haley Tennant. How are you doing? How is the kids? Hope you guys are doing well. Sister Charlene there in Birmingham as well. Also want to touch Tamika there in the Montserrat area. Sister Rachel, how are you doing? How is Sarah? Sinclair and crew. Hope all is well with you guys. Want to touch Tracy Jeffers there. Tracy Powell, hope all is well. Joycelyn and Nesta. Hope all is good with you guys. See, my boy Trevor is back on track. Diana Lawrence, hope all is well with you. The man Luther Kelly, are you back in St. Kitts or are you still out of town? I'm going to drop these ads and I'm going to try to find my way out of here by the 9 p.m. hour. So, brother Ivor, you catch me this evening. You got a little overtime out of me. Mr. Joan Matthews, good evening. Hope all is well with you. Where in the world are you these days? I'm going to drop the ad here for DJ Maui.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Maui Shaw's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Maui Shaw. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Maui Shaw, every Wednesday evening. Facebook, 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Marishaw. Log on.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Marishaw's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Marishaw. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Marishaw, every Wednesday evening, Facebook, 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Marishaw. Log on.
Yes, man, that's the sounds of the man Tam Boa Kitwana. Got to forward on. Yes, man. Want to big up my boy there, brother Romello Jeffers. How you doing, Randy Waller? You my brother. Thanks for your usual support. Hope all is well with you and the family. My engineer there, the man Ike. Randy Waller, your brother Ike. I know you're operating the computer remotely, but I need to know where you are messing with my things then, you know. Also want to big up the man Django. How are you doing? Hope all is well with you, brother Glenville Lawrence, my nephew there. Take care of all of my clips Wednesday evening. Make sure his uncles are ready to rumble. I also want to say good evening to the man there, brother Elvin Hanley. Hope all is well with you. How about brother Alvin Brown? We're in the Waller. You hope all is well. Bigging up the man there, the big lice. We're in the Waller, your brother. Can't find your body as yet. I want to hear what your body have to say to me. The man Douglas Watley, J.A. Dwyer Astafan, Sam Kanda, how are you doing? Brother Ira McMahon, how are you doing? Hope all is well. Dr. Martin, the big JL, how are you doing? The man DJ Rabuka, the Lincoln Haps, how are you doing, my brother? The big Curtis Cook, Steve Carty, how are you guys doing there? The man Bogner, how about the Tark Puppy? Tark Puppy is quiet as well. The man Carlton Dupont. Hope all is well with you. Good evening, my brother. My boy, the EK. How are you doing? Touching the man Monarch, the man Ronnie Rascal. The Model Cup. Well, you know, once I drop the upcoming track, the unofficial anthem of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis is Good Night to Sister Daphne, the lady that brought me into this world and have me here. Just missing her, missing Leroy, you know. Speaking about missing Daphne and missing Leroy, I missed something last week, you know. I missed something last week, and Daphne just brought it to my attention. This is why I'm happy to have my ancestors. They might be dead and gone, but they walk with me and they remind me of things. You know, we had a big Riri a couple of weeks back. The Icon of the Seas made his first stop into St. Kitts. The inaugural stop, this is. And I hear the taxi man, they're making a whole bunch of noise about this big ship. Came into port and they make no money. How could a big ship like this come into St. Kitts and they can't get any passengers from the ship to make some money? The cost from the Prime Minister to the ministers to Marshall. Only God knows what they didn't cost. They didn't make any money. Well, the ship came back for a second trip, you know. The ship came back into the Federation and I have not heard a thing. Have not heard a blimp out of the taxi man. Them. I wonder if they make that much money that they can't talk, their tongue too heavy. I'm going to keep saying this to your people, you know. I'm going to keep saying this to our people in our beloved Federation. Whether it might be personal whether it might be political or otherwise. What you put into life is what you get out. Stop sitting back and expect things to just happen. Stop taking people for granted. Stop taking the works of people for granted. We all are passing through. We're not going to be here forever. We can make a good contribution for those to come and to show appreciation for those who made it possible for us to be in the position that we are. We did not have to go through the gruesome treatment of slavery, but there were some of us act. You would think that everything happened on its own, you do everything on your own, but you got to keep in mind, somebody had to put in some serious hard work, a lot of sacrifice for us to enjoy whatever we have now, whatever talent, whatever possibilities, whatever you have on your bank account, whatever going on in life. You didn't just born and get it. Somebody had to sacrifice, whether it's your parents, your neighbor, your brother, your sister. Somebody had to sacrifice for you to get to where you are. And that is why I was happy to meet my godmother after some 40-something years in December, to remind me that when I was born, I was loved. I am a loved kid. I didn't born in any confusion, any hate, so I don't need to live in any confusion and any hate. I have a baby girl that show me love, and I'm going to show her love. And I want to believe that that's the love that my godmother showed me, because even as an adult, when I met her in December, that is all she showed me. And even on our last visit, when she was leaving the Federation, that's what I felt was love from my godmother, Joyce Bedford. So, Brother Bedford, as I've said to you previously, I was there before you. So we got to share my godmother, and I look forward to seeing her soon again. So for those of you who just want to sit back and grumble and complain and criticize, good luck. DJ Marisha will continue to bring the information as I see it, straight, clear, and fair. No hard feelings, is love every time. So until such time as I walk away from this program this evening, look forward to be back next week. I know some of you I have not been able to say hello to because I started late. Equipment was acting up. Had to make some minor adjustments, but I want to thank you online viewers for continuing sticking with me and coming online and sharing the live. Please continue to share the live. I realize a great deal of you has been following instructions, and you have been subscribing on my YouTube channel. I see a good amount of you folks that has a lot of you folks has been signing on. So I'm going to drop the unofficial anthem that hopefully I can beat the 9 p.m. hour, because Ivan not going to catch me tonight. Stand by for the late great King Arrow. This one is called Arise. And my people, I know the music is sweet, but please focus on the lyrics. Lioness Charles, love every time. The movement is here.
Country dying and never lend a helping hand. Could you see your children's future dwindling, creating much disillusion? Or would we watch on idly unification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Can your conscience be clear? Indulging corruption or misusing public office, being accused of unemployment and crimes, or disrupting a citizen's peace. Oh, my country in disharmony, separated politically. Hatred for a brother, cannot love each other. No, I say no, potato. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct all mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. So rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Yes, that's the sound of the late great King Arrow. This country is yours. Brother Luther, you're still in Canada. I hope you got a chance to link up with Brother Ingley, and Brother Everson Harris there in Toronto. I hope you get a chance to hang out with the local Kittitians there. They're very nice people there. They really take care of their people when you show up in those areas. So make sure you make the best of it while you're in the Canada area. Well, my good people, it has come to an end. As they would say, every good thing has to come to an end. And by that I mean it's exactly 9:01, and I need to get off of here before